Screwing?
We have so much to talk about today, you tricksy bitches.
Sorry, I had a bubble in my throat there. That was fucking weird. Welcome to welcome to Two Guns No Ammunition. I'm Big Billy, your host. We're No Ammunition, and we're gonna get started. Let's see. Today I ran, and it was not. I wasn't fleeing from anything, so that was cool.
This is Genevieve, and I have Pedialyte today.
This is Lisa, and I've been told not to eat my peanuts on the microphone today.
Frank here. I got back-to-back wins in Fortnight. It was awesome.
Whoa.
Jake here, and how'd you like those gameplay videos, bitches?
Those
Some
were pretty
Devil May
sweet.
Cry Muzak vids. Vids is on the YouTubes.
All right. To get started, I'm going to make this. I'm going to bring up something I want to talk about, and you guys can't talk about because only I did it. Last week I talked about watching Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh, I did that too.
I watched a playthrough that two best friends did because, you know, I watch them every night. And I got to say, I did myself a disservice, a major disservice. Everything, like every piece of pop culture that comes out that has a twist or something that can be spoiled is then spoiled for me. I'm maybe 97%. Every once in a while, I catch a bone. Somehow, the experience of Shadow of the Colossus had not been spoiled in the 12 years since it came out. Since that game was advertised, I said, boy, I can't wait to play this game. It looks fucking cool. And then it was great. So the video came out, and I just needed some content. And I said, oh, I know this is going to be a good game. So I watched it. And every episode, I said, don't watch another one. Don't watch another boss fight. Because you're spoiling the experience for yourself. Then I got to the end of the game, and there was a really cool ending, nice twist. Everything about it was enjoyable. The guys who were playing it were talking about how great it was. I could see that it was a great game. But all I did was burn that virgin experience I could have had with that fucking game. I will never enjoy. I waited like 12 years to play this game, and I took the experience away from myself from watching that goddamn playthrough.
I do that with movies all the time, and I feel really good about it. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I won't see the movie, and then I get someone to tell me, or I like look up on Wikipedia the entire like plot, and I'm like, oh, this is so good. And as I'm reading it, I'm getting super excited. I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen? I'm thinking, oh, you know, maybe this is gonna happen. Then it happens. I'm like, oh my gosh, this was so good. This is such a good movie. And I'm like, wait, I somehow both watched and didn't see any of the movie that I just ruined for myself, and you can't take it back.
Yeah, I sat there on the other end of that experience, be like, what a fucking idiot. Maybe that kid who called me a retard on Overwatch was right. You know? Maybe he knew
most
something I
definitely
didn't know.
was.
Maybe he knew something I didn't know.
You look deep into your soul and or brain and diagnosed the fuck out of you.
Yeah, right? I diagnosed you with the donkey brain.
Yeah, hard. I don't have quite the same hang-ups about spoilers because I feel like, I mean, it might be a little different with something like Shadow of the Colossus, where it's really a puzzle game in boss fight form from the sound of it. But like with movies, it could be a great story, but if the acting is bad and the script is dumb and it's shot poorly, then it's not enjoyable. So even like I had, by the way, Snape kills Dumbledore. And
Oh, shit.
when that was spoiled for me, and I was like, okay, how did we achieve that point? What aligning of planets could cause that to happen? And I still read the book and watched the movie and was quite okay with it. It like doesn't actually matter. It matter. I guess it might matter a little more with games, but generally speaking, spoilers don't trouble me if the rest of the experience is worth having.
So the a little aside about Snape killing Dumbledore, Harry Potter is what we're talking about if you're not familiar. Well, my dad listens to it, and I don't know if he read or watched it, so yeah. Shout out to you, Dad. One of my cousins my dad will know who it is. He looks just like me, but a little older. The 7th book came out, I think, the last book.
The Deathly Hallows.
Yeah. And my cousin went to like the midnight release, bought the book, came home, took off from like work or school the next day, whatever it was, snuggled up in his favorite chair with a blanket, got comfortable, had a couple Red Bulls so he could power through as much as the other
And
book.
realized the book was on the other side of the room. Dun dun dun.
No, this isn't a Goosebumps story. I'm telling you, that would be too spooky. No, well, he's about to sit down, and he's got his Red Bull. All of a sudden, the door to he like gets reading. All of a sudden, the door to his room gets kicked open, and somebody comes in and goes, "Snoop kills Dumbledorf." And he,
What?
yeah. Well, the guy who got the spoiler didn't know shit about the series, right? But he still got it close enough to spoil it. And my cousin's like, I just wish he had fucked it up even more. Like, Glip Glorp kills Blognack. And then you're like, oh, man, you really spoiled it. Now get out of here.
Wait, but that's not spoiled if you've already read the 6th book.
Okay, whatever book it was where that happens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The 6th book.
Okay, the 6th
The
book.
Half-Blood Prince.
All right, thanks, Lisa.
You're
Jesus
welcome, Bill.
Christ. You know, you could have given me another 10 seconds to really let the story simmer.
It's not just.
I knew it was going to be today. I knew today we've had too many calm episodes. I was just thinking, boy, I haven't gotten fired up. Frank comes out swinging as soon as we do mic check. I'm not even, you know what? No, we're going to pivot to something else.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, but here's the thing. When I know a spoiler about a series, it distracts me or a movie. It distracts me for the entire experience. I'm like, oh, so when is the main character going to get shot in the ass? Like, you know, or whatever it is.
It's a common thing to happen in movies, especially romantic comedies.
Yeah, get shot in the ass.
And it's always a spoiler.
Like Forrest Gump. Oh, spoiler, he gets shot in the ass.
Like
Oh, that
Matthew
does happen.
McConaughey in Fool's Gold. Shot in the ass.
Is that a real movie?
Yes, it is.
It is a real movie.
Is that one we should all pretend isn't real?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Wait a minute. I'm going to take one guess at why Matthew McConaughey got shot in his ass, and it's so that they could show his ass on the
I don't
movie
think
screen.
he actually got shot in the ass. I never saw the movie.
He's just giving a review and telling you never to watch it.
Have you ever accidentally? Well, but that's the thing. I get distracted for the whole experience, so I'm just like, every time I get more and more stressed until I'm like, huh, maybe this doesn't happen in the movie, and then that's when it happens. I'm like, fuck, I knew it. I don't know. What do you think about spoilers, there, G?
They don't bother me, actually.
What?
Yeah, it's totally fine for me because I remember, like, in the process of Hunger Games coming out, the movies, I had a bunch of friends. It was back in high school, and they were telling me, like, oh, you have to read it. It's so good. Like, the first movie came out. They're like, oh, you should still read the books. Like, it's still good. And, like, I vaguely have plans to read them. And, like, the movies to me didn't spoil it. I know some things got changed around, details left out, whatever. But I still want to read the books. And, like, that's how it was for Harry Potter, too. Not the second one, but Harry Potter as well. Believe it, like, the third movie came out before I started reading the books. And even then, I wanted to read them more. And then by the end of the series, I was reading the books before the movies came out.
Okay, so this sort of leads me to a secondary question I have about.
Well, that makes sense.
Um,
Time-wise.
Can you guys rewatch movies or replay games?
Oh, I do
Yep.
it all the
Oh,
time.
yes.
Yeah.
all the time.
Okay, so maybe this is why we have such a different opinion on spoilers. Like, I go through a book one time, and I won't read it for another 12 years until my brain has degraded, and I can't remember any of the plot twists anymore.
Well, with books, I don't read books as often as I mean to, somewhere deep down in my brain.
Right.
But like movies, I mean, you can't realistically put as many hours into Fallout as I have without, starting a new game once or twice, 18 times. And Frank, how many times have we watched fucking Interstellar?
10 at least.
6 million.
Yeah.
I just watched a bunch of Tarantino movies the other week. Like, had myself a couple double features over a long weekend.
I've seen the South Park movie over 300 times.
You can You can probably still recite 95% of that movie.
At least, yeah. Now, granted, probably 250 of those times were like the first year that it came out. I watched it almost every day when I got it on DVD. But I was 14, so whatever.
DVDs.
Oh, I was really disappointed in you, and then you told me you were 14. That sounds like something a 14-year-old.
I mean,
would
the
do.
movie came out in like 2002, so like
I don't remember when it came out. I didn't watch it 300 fucking times. I think I've watched it one time, and I was like,
it's a great movie.
It's wonderful. It's one of the best musicals ever made.
It is.
well, they also
It is a musical.
we know those guys have musical chops because they wrote the Book of Mormon,
Mhm.
and that thing is
They wrote the score to the
I forget
movie,
which one of
Bigger,
them-
Longer, and Uncut.
Yeah, I forget
I
which
think
one
it was
of them.
Matt Stone.
Matt Stone, I think, is the one who is like a trained composer.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I thought Trey Parker and Matt Stone, creators of South Park, were just like happy accidents.
Nope.
Yeah, shows how much I fucking know.
They're brilliant.
So, but yeah, I can't. I think the first movie I ever really started watching more than once was Avatar.
Which one?
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, there's multiple avatars?
Yes.
There
Well,
will
they're
be.
Sort of.
They're all being filmed at the same time right now. The next 4 of them, I think.
Oh, so the real
weird.
Avatar movies, not the
Not the last
other
Airbender.
one.
No,
Yeah,
not the cartoon.
No.
But I just
Another movie. we
I
can
just
all
don't
forget.
I don't rewatch shit.
Mm.
Like-
Remember when they said that movie was supposed to be life-changing, and then everyone saw it, and they're like, yeah, that was pretty good.
Yep.
A little too hyped up.
No,
Yeah.
don't you remember people got Pandora disorder or whatever because Pandora wasn't real, so they got sad.
What?
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
do not
Oh my
remember
god,
that.
this was a thing.
I
This-
went to go see a movie about a fake thing, and then I realized it wasn't real, and I got sad.
well, there's
If that's a real thing, I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
well, fortunately, we'll be in Mars in 20 minutes thanks to Elon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
just drive a Tesla.
Just
Whose body do you think they put in that Tesla Roadster spacesuit he launched into space?
I don't know, but at least the precedent is set for when you want to be cadaverized.
exactly.
And
Oh my god!
Someone
Put
who
on
maybe
your
Elon
Harley.
listens to our podcast.
Wow! Oh, that son of a bitch!
And stored, yeah.
Oh, for our
Oh, that must be true.
Eagle-
Look. They had to do the proof of concept so that when you die, you can have your wish.
man, for our eagle-eared listeners, because eagles have good ears. When I die, I want to be put in a cool duster jacket with sweet sunglasses, broadsword over one shoulder, shotgun over the other, sat on a sweet motorcycle, launched into space, riding it towards Alpha Centauri on a collision course. I mean, we had a whole talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even realize Elon was a fan of the podcast and has tested this concept for me.
For you.
What
This
a,
Fact.
is the only conclusion we can draw.
what
Yeah,
a
true
guy.
fact.
Hey, Elon, follow us on Twitter. We need some followers.
YouTube too. Subscribe.
Patreon.
Yeah. Just tell everybody to donate to us or something. We'll be the next big thing.
Or donate
Patreon.com/2
yourself.
guns no ammo.
This does bring up a good point, though, I think, going back to rewatching things and such.
Wait, I need to guess. You know who was in that spacesuit? That's Jimmy Hoffa.
Dun dun dun.
Or no, it was MH370.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's that airplane that went missing.
It's still on CNN to this
They
day.
put the whole airplane in a car.
I mean, Elon can do
in
he's
a spacesuit.
Elon's
in
the
the car.
smartest man ever lived. He can
He
do
is-
whatever he wants.
He is a wizard.
Yeah. Who runs like a giant toddler.
Does he?
He really
That's
does.
Never seen him run.
Videos of him running all the time when he had his
Stop! We're
little
gonna lose
flamethrower.
his sponsorship.
Why is he running?
Because he's a playful goofball. I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, you can't even be mad. It sounds like like a big goofy dog. Like
Yes.
Clifford the big goofy
Well,
dog.
for a guy who clearly works out as much as he does, I mean, he's got big shoulders and all that. You'd think somebody would be like, "Hey, Elon, how about you run like this?"
he's got enough money, he can run right.
That's true.
They probably mentioned it, and he just said, "That's who's up in space."
Oh, the guy who's criticizing his running?
Oh.
Yeah.
Shit. So
Watch
you
out,
just
Bill. You're next.
Oh
Exactly.
shit. Wait, are we sure it's not is Elon a Patriots fan? Because maybe it's Tom Brady's trainer.
Oh.
That way Bill Belichick doesn't
Ooh.
retire.
Oh.
Dark. I don't know.
Anyway,
Go Birds.
Lisa, you were gonna have a point.
I was gonna have a point. It was a good point.
no, it's
your
great.
point.
Yeah, I do now, actually.
It was the best point.
Ask anyone. Best point. Anyway, so
Ask anyone except for me.
I think to be more specific about spoiling things, I don't have a problem so much if it's in two different modes of spoiling. So if there's like a book and a movie, I don't really care about it spoiling the movie plot so much because I know the book is going to be different. Like I have a problem if it's just a book and someone spoils the book because I'm like, well, fuck, now I know how it happens in the book. Kind of like Game of Thrones, for instance.
Yeah.
Like I've read all the books up to date now and I've seen all of the show up to date now, but that's not in any way going to stop me from wanting to read the books because I know it's going to end at the same point, but how it's going to get there is completely different since the book and the show so far are just completely different.
Now, have you ever accidentally spoiled something for somebody? Because I have a number of times.
Yeah.
But what's your go-to when you do that? And I have a pretty clear MO. I say the spoiler and they go, what? And I go, that's not true. I made that up. And then they go, did you? And I'm like, yeah. Or maybe not. And that's the end of the conversation. Just enough doubt, that they're like, I wonder. Bill does like to bullshit me, says everybody. Right? So.
Some of us can see through that bullshit.
They don't all have your refined programming.
I feel like the next thing would be like to start making up spoilers.
Oh, I do that too.
Just
Okay.
constantly lie all the time.
Yeah.
So no one knows if you're spoiling something.
Right.
Well, that or like you realize you've let out a spoiler and they haven't seen it, or they're like, wait, what? And then you're like, yeah, and then this extra stuff happens.
Yeah, I'd
doesn't
be like,
actually
Snape
happen.
kills Dumbledore. And I'd be like, what? I'd be like, no, I'm just kidding. That guy who has that cat.
Filch.
Yeah. He cuts McGonagall's throat open. It's fucked.
Whoa! Squibs take over.
Yeah, and they're like, really? I'm like, I don't know.
And then they turn into
See
squids.
you later.
The squids.
That's
Yep.
it. Okay,
That's why there's a lake.
That's why there's a lake. And there's a giant squid in the lake, apparently.
Exactly. And mermaids.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
Good boy,
Or
sweet.
mermaidens, if they're married.
Or is it mermatrons?
yeah.
If they're old.
And moving on.
To what?
No.
We don't have anything to
Okay.
talk
Bill,
about.
save us, God damn it!
Okay, so how do you, if somebody is talking about something that you're interested in, how do you keep it from being spoiled? All right, because I think there's a certain way you're supposed to act. I go, don't talk about this around me. I'm gonna watch that episode, and then I cover my ears, and then I hope when my ears are uncovered, these people don't spoil it for me. But most people do anyway. Such is my life. Like, if you don't want something spoiled, somebody's talking about it, what would you do?
I would just not bring it up. I'd just be like, hey, like, please don't spoil this. And then we'd just like not talk about it anymore. Because if you start talking about it and talking about how you don't want to talk about it, then you're going to talk about it.
I
It
encourage
was
people.
really good. And here are a bunch of technical reasons. The lighting, the camera work, the music. I liked them.
I liked that there were people in the movie.
I liked that there were actors in costume who read scripts.
They read the scripts like instead of acted them.
Yeah, it was a live rehearsal broadcast.
That's what we're going to get out of the Oscars tonight.
Is that tonight?
It is tonight.
Watch me
Ooh.
not watch it.
When can they just cancel that fucking thing?
I don't know.
I
It's
get
so
that confused.
ridiculous.
The Oscars and the Golden Globes and the
Tonys
Emmys, I'm
or-
pretty
And the
sure.
Grammys.
The Tonys, I think, have to do with
That's
theater.
theater. Yeah.
I only know that.
The Emmys are for TV.
The thing is-
Grammys
These
are for
for
music.
music.
Here's the thing about all
And
those
there's
award
also, like-
ceremonies. Here's the thing. Every industry has them. Literally every single industry that more than a dozen people occupy and make their living with has some type of award thing. The only difference with the music and, film and theater and what have you is that these people are famous, so more people give a crap. But they're just fucking pageant shows. They're just internal.
Yep.
Who do we among
Giant
our
circle
own
jerks.
little clique and the cliques within this bigger clique, who do we like the most? Let's give them something shiny and make them say some stupid, trite words on stage about it, about how great they are and how thankful they must be. And that is literally, like, again, it's every single industry. We only apparently care because these people are famous already.
No, I'll
Yep.
watch a show like that if it's for like a small industry, like one of the voice actors
Fishing
who
boat manufacturers.
exactly I'll
Paper
watch
companies?
precisely. One of the voice actors.
Only if they take place at Chili's.
I would watch that.
I don't give a single flying fuck. Not a fuck. I care about like the Nobel Prizes for science. Show me that. Do they
You
even
are
have
part
a
of
ceremony?
America's anti-intellectualism problem.
Wait,
I'm
what
part of
words
the
did you say?
anti-intellectualism because I prefer science.
I thought you just said you don't like the
No,
Nobel
no,
Prize.
that's kind of
That's
what
the
I
only
thought.
one I even care a bit about.
No, he
Okay.
wants to watch that.
I will watch any award show if it takes place in a Chili's.
Oh my God, we get it. You're referencing The Office.
You like,
I'm
you like
John
Chili's?
beyond that. I'm saying I will watch any
'Cause
award
just 'cause
show
of the
that because
ridiculousness?
because it takes place in a Chili's.
What if it's at an Applebee's?
That's the same thing. Even
Any
better
chain
if it's in a
restaurant?
Golden Corral.
Top notch.
Yeah.
Quality.
Get some all-you-can-eat steak for $10.
So I was
Steak.
one of the voice actors that I watch on Critical Role. I think Ashley Johnston.
Yeah, I think she's got.
She
Yeah.
received an award for Ellie from The Last of Us. And I was like, oh, I never hear about a voice actor's award. I'm sort of interested in this. But once they become like mainstream and everybody likes it, I don't care. Like you're already recognized. Come on.
A
You just
hipster
like
for
being-
awards.
I guess it's just like
Yeah.
I don't care. You don't need
It's
more
got the beard and
recognition if your
glasses
industry
for
is
it.
huge.
Bill,
Bill,
just
are you a
being
hipster?
cool.
Secretly, yes.
I don't think there's any way that those people would accept me. Like 0%.
He's
chance.
so unmainstream that even the unmainstream hipsters won't accept him.
Precisely.
You are the proto-hipster.
You are the weakest link.
Or I'm just like your pretty typical
I mean, you've got a
huge
beard.
meathead hunterman. Like,
Sherman Woods boy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Woods boy.
You don't eat gluten. you're wearing the glasses, the aviator glasses.
As his
You
actual
like
glasses,
flannel?
not aviator sunglasses.
I don't have any.
You
flannel.
dress like you're going
have
to a
like one.
Soundgarden concert in 1996.
So
What are you
Bill's a
talking about?
hipster.
I'm wearing a shirt that has a bucket of beer on it.
Nice Jinko jeans.
I'm wearing 7-year-old basketball shorts.
Shush,
Yeah,
I said
right.
it, we're painting a picture
Oh, okay.
of your 90s hipsterdom. That isn't really a thing.
Wow.
It
I had a pair of Jinkos. They weren't as obnoxious as they were made, but they were comfy as fuck.
That was the thing I always read about. And so are those DC shoes that I never got.
What about the Marvel shoes?
Marvel shoes.
Ugh, okay, that was a good one. I'll give that to you.
Thank you.
So I really do like spoiling movies is one thing. Spoiling a book, like a movie, you're like, oh, that if it was a great movie, that's a bummer. Spoil a book, that's a fuckload of work, but you're just sort of taking it in. Spoiling a video game, it's like you do all this goddamn work, and there's only so much story that you actually experience through cutscenes and shit.
Mm.
So when it's blown, it's like a huge portion of the story that you get. I find it so frustrating. Oh, I'm going to work for 30 hours to this spoiler? Thanks.
But isn't it still fun doing the 30 hours?
No, because all I'm thinking about is how the thing's going to be spoiled.
Oh.
As soon as it's spoiled, I hope it happens really early in the story. See, this is a discussion G and I have had before. I love surprises. Even if I'm like, hey, for Christmas, I would like you to buy me comfortable underwear. And then you go out and you purchase me comfortable underwear. I don't want to know that that's what you got me. I want it to be wrapped up. I don't want to shake the box. I want to open up. Oh my God, comfortable underwear. I love the surprise. You're not of the same opinion. You don't
Nope.
get two shits, do you?
Nope.
That was him telling you what he wants for Christmas, by the way.
Yeah. In March.
Yep.
Very advanced.
know. Do you
Even
guys
though
So
like
he
for
forgets
surprises?
about it and is surprised.
I don't care that much. Like, I don't not like surprises,
Who's the
but
hipster now?
because I don't
Bill.
have much of an opinion on
The
surprises.
glasses do have thicker rims.
Yes,
Ooh.
I do have pretty hipster glasses.
I mean,
will-
Bill, let's be real. You don't even celebrate Christmas. You celebrate Hanukkah.
it's true.
Oh, right. Now that my application's been
Listen,
approved.
listen, jealousy is natural. We are the chosen people.
I'm an accountant. That counts, right?
Counts for what?
After
No.
Not
You're
to
like
celebrate.
you're like the Irish guy in The Godfather, right? We'll make you conciliary, but you'll never be one of us.
Damn.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't
Ironically-
like.
Ironically, he's Italian.
I don't know. It bothers me when people spoil it. Maybe not in part because it's been spoiled, but in part because you're an asshole for spoiling something for someone.
Yeah.
Unless you did it by accident.
Right.
And then you're like, oh no, I'm so sorry. But if you're like, this is what happens. It's like, oh, wow, that sucks. Also, fuck you.
Well, see, usually for me, so far I haven't had anyone like run into the room and be like, "What was it? Snoop
Whatever.
kills Dumbledorf."
Yeah.
Snoop
Like,
kills
or no
Dumbledore.
one's been like in my face about it. They're usually, "Oh, did you see this movie?" or like, "Are you caught up on the show?" or whatever, blah blah blah. And like something will slip out when we're talking about it, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm starting to spoil it," or I didn't mean to tell you that. I'm like, "No, go ahead, like, tell me the story." Like I like encourage it, but it's usually like by accident.
When you said Snoop kills Dumbledorf,
Yes.
I definitely pictured Snoop Dogg.
Yes.
That's what happens, Jake.
Yep.
That's
And
the spoiler.
I might not
I
have been.
really wish I had an impression, but I don't. I was just thinking of Drop It Like It's Hot in my head.
You could have just pretended to rip a bong. That would have been close enough. Are you a purring cat on the lap of an old man with a cough?
That
Also,
was the
yes.
bong.
No, okay,
What?
but there was a when that 6th book came out. Thank you for the correction, Lisa.
It's important.
Somebody bought out the jumbotron at a Yankees game and
Oh,
spoiled
no.
Snape kills Dumbledore.
See, that person's an asshole.
Yeah, they are. I always wonder what kind of joy you get out of it. Like, I
Does
ruined
any-
somebody's time.
Snidely Whiplash
Total
shit.
troll.
Exclusively witches.
No, there's a
buy out
difference between-
jumbotrons.
The art in being a troll is that
You elicit a reaction.
you do almost nothing and elicit a reaction. Like that is egregious.
The real question I have is nobody screening what's going up on those before they put them up? Like, aren't they like, oh, wait, let me do my bros in the stadium a solid and not put this up knowing it's a spoiler?
Maybe it
Unless
depends
it was
on
an inside job.
conspiracy.
Dun dun dun.
Inside blowjob.
What?
Also,
What?
yes.
That's not even a joke.
So yes,
It's a sex funny.
it's a sex funny.
There's a sex thing that he said.
So don't be like me. If you waited 15 years to play Shadow of the Colossus, just play it. Or wait 15 more years and then play it then, because I ruined it for myself. All right. Second thing. Do you remember at the end of last episode, we talked about certain games on Steam sale to purchase? We settled on Nazi Zombie Trilogy being a good buy, Papers, Please being a very good buy, and then Brainiac or Evil Genius. That's what it was.
Brainiac.
So I bought all three. I actually bought all three of those. I spent like $19. Haven't played Evil Genius. I did, in fact, play Papers, Please. Now, this game comes out strong from the beginning. Imagine in your head Soviet Russian music, even if you don't know what it sounds like.
Can't imagine it.
Well, as soon as this thing comes on, you go, yep, that's what it is.
You, Lisa, you don't know
You don't.
the Soviet anthem?
She's
You should look it up. It's actually
I'm not allowed to talk about
trying
it.
to. She's hiding it.
That's what it sounds like. And then the credits roll up, and there's a little string instrument in the back. I don't know. So the whole story is, you're some Jay Brown. And
I'm sorry, are you spoiling the story
No,
for us?
No. You're some Jay Brown, and you become a border guard for in between East and West Greston. Sound familiar?
Not at all Berlin.
Greston.
And you, like by lottery, you become the border guard, and this game is a lot less of like a game and more of a job.
It's
Okay.
border
So
patrol
you're-
simulator.
So you're really bad at it?
Yes.
Oh,
Boom.
Actually, yes.
I do a lot better when Genevieve's there to help me. That's
Yes.
for sure.
Yes.
So they give you a rule book, and in this rule book it says, things like all foreigners must have passport. All foreigners who want to work must have work permit. And as the game progresses, you get more and more rules. The basic mechanic is somebody walks up to your booth, they hand you their papers, they say, how long are you staying? Why are you staying? So they say, like, 2 weeks, I'm transiting the country. And then it says visit for 1 week. And you go, this doesn't make any sense. And then interrogate them. And they give you an answer.
And you waterboard them?
No, but you can
Not yet.
detain them. The game progresses to the point where You have to validate the issuing cities of their passports against valid issuing cities in the rule book. There's like a map that you click on. You check their birth date for validity, the expiration of their papers. Eventually, they need secondary ID, so you have to look at their height, weight, hair color. Sometimes you have to check their fingerprints for consistency. If they give you certain answers, if they give you certain answers, you scan them, and then you have to look at a scan of their 8-bit naked bodies and look for contraband and weapons. And if you find them, then you have them detained by the secret police.
Bill, are you sure
The
you just
secret
didn't
police.
download some sort of game, like job simulator training?
Well, now the game.
No, it's an actual job.
Now the
He
game.
just works.
It gets to a point where one of
Really?
the guards comes in. He goes, "Listen, I get a bonus when you detain somebody. I'll give you $5 for every 2 people you detain." So instead of being, a not heartless monster and simply refusing people entry, I detained everyone I could because I need that $5. All right, rent is $30 a day. It's $10 a day to heat the goddamn place. $5 per person in my family to feed them.
You
And
have
every
no
once in a while they
family.
get fucking sick. I gotta buy them medicine.
Oh, so you
No,
have
but-
so you have like economic issues that you have to deal with.
Yeah,
Not just
so you get
All his family is dead. The
$30
wife is
a
the only
day.
one
Genevieve,
Rent
you
is a
blew
lot.
it. That was my big. That was the
spoiler
punchline.
alert.
Oh my god. Oh, geez.
I didn't hear it.
You're
What was
welcome.
it?
Thumbs down.
I don't know anymore.
Say it again, Genevieve.
All of his
no!
family died because they got sick and hungry and cold.
So you get $5 per person that you let through or refuse properly. And how do you know if you did it properly? If you go through, you get a little memo, like a violation. You get 2 violations a day. If you go over that, something bad happens. But you get $5 per person up till 6 o'clock. So basically, it's try to get through all the story, through all the people that the story dictates you need to talk to before 6 o'clock. If you take too long, you're still going to play, but you're not going to get paid. And then you have to pay for all this shit. So you start off with like a wife, a son, a mother-in-law, a pop.
She can go.
Yeah, well, they're like, at the very beginning of the game, they were all very cold. And then they were all very hungry. And then they were all very sick.
So needy.
And all I saved was my wife. The rest of them died.
Bye.
It's a lot cheaper to not have family, in this fucking game. Just let them die. Whatever.
Is that like part of a victory though? Like, because there's the option. Eventually, you get an option to like take in your niece or something.
Yeah, like your aunt's missing. Do you want to bring your niece in? I'm like, fuck no.
Yeah, like why add more?
Yeah, and they
to
go, oh, your niece has gone missing. I'm like, good. I'm not paying $5 a day to feed her. So there's a number of different characters that come through, guards, and there's this guy Yuri who always has problems with his passport, and you send him to the police, and he comes back. And there's Dimitri. He's like your supervisor. He comes and he shits on you every once in a while, and then he leaves. And people will hop pretty often people will hop the little wall and run towards the guards who are behind, and then throw dynamite at them, and they explode. And then your day's over because of the terrorist attack. And you don't get to make any more money. Gotta try again the next day. I'm to the point where there are 2 full pages of rules. So it's like 10 different rules. I have to check vaccination cards, applications for asylum, secondary identification cards, passports, work visas, and entry papers. And I make $5 a person. I have to get it done by 6 o'clock. It is kind of stressful.
like
but I'll
3
tell you this
people a
much.
day.
I'm getting pretty good at it. I'm like studying up. I'm like, wait, from the country of import, which 3 cities are issuing whatever? And like, if you find typos, you can detain people. It feels like work at first, but it's so much fun that you actually really get good at it. Which is part of the reason, I want to see how other people do. Other people whose job it is to do this in real life. Overall, the writing is terrific. All these characters are a lot of fun. They're engaging in different ways. The shortfalls that so everybody doesn't have the same error on their passport. Once you get into complacency, oftentimes I will let slip an invalid date of birth because I check everything else and date of birth is never wrong, then blamzo, date of birth is wrong. There's even this neat little side story where this secret organization trying to counter the government of your oppressive country, Ostrutska, they keep slipping you things. They're like, let our agents through, detain this person. One time, they gave me a gun, right? And when somebody jumped the wall, I get a bonus for shooting people jumping the wall at this point in the game. Instead of shooting that guy, I'm supposed to shoot this guy in a red outfit in line waiting to get into my booth because he's a secret agent to kill the agents that want me to trust them. So I did that. I blasted him. I just shot this guy. And then I got taken to the gulag for murdering somebody, and the game ended. And they're like, oh, your family went back to its village. No one will ever remember you.
Oh, no.
And they said ending 9 of 20. So apparently there's 20 different endings.
Oh, I was about to ask, how do you win?
Well, there are certain collectibles. There are different pins that you can get from different regions, I imagine, from interacting with different characters in the game positively. I've gotten 2 of like 6 regions or something. But I don't know. I'm on day like 28. And now, like, playing through 2 days takes me a long time because there's so much information to check.
Maybe in like 50 years when you're still playing it, eventually it'll be like, oh, time to retire.
Yeah.
You win.
I forgot to mention my boss, Dimitri.
No, you did.
I forgot to mention what he did then. He comes in, he's like, yo, you better let my girlfriend Shay into the country. Well, 7 game days later, Shay shows up. I'm like, your fucking papers aren't in order. And she's like, well, I know Dimitri. I'm like, who the fuck's Dimitri? Fuck you. Get out of here. I had her detained by the police. Then Dimitri comes up. He goes, I thought I told you, you worthless piece of shit. Go to the gulag. And then I got sent to the gulag.
He can just send you to
Yeah,
jail.
he just goes, oh, this guy was stealing a Strutskian property. Game over. You're in the gulag, ending 12 of 20. Like, fuck.
Twist.
Basically-
All of the endings end up with you in the gulag.
I
Pretty
can only
much.
imagine.
All roads lead to Gulag.
But
You see, comrade.
there seems to be some sort of ranking system tied to the kind of housing that you're in, and there's no appreciable difference in the housing, except that it costs more. I was in like Class 8 housing, $30 a night in rent, $10 to heat. They go, there's a Class 7 house open, $40 a night. I said, shit, I need that. So I moved up. I moved into it.
Kinda spent
I don't know
money.
why. $10 more a day. Now Class 6 is open. I need it.
That's the American in you.
Oh, boy.
Constantly
tell-
looking for shit you can't afford.
That's why you keep ending up in the gulag. Too American.
And it had nothing else different about it other than the price.
You don't even see it. There's
you don't see
no
the house.
information.
Why would
information.
you have moved to a more expensive place then?
I don't know. I figured it was
America.
part of the game that you're supposed to do. If it exists, right, you got to play it.
Drink the red water, Bill. Drink the red water.
So,
Water.
it seems so when the credits come down, it's papers, please, and at the bottom there's a guy's name. Like it's like John something. I don't know. One guy's name.
Specific.
I think one guy made this game. It's really, really impressive. I've gotten, I spent $4.99 on it, and I've already gotten 6 hours out of it. And I'm going to get lots and lots more. There's just the right amount of collectibles. Now, I could really easily see this feeling like actual work to somebody, but they up the ante so much so quickly. There's not like a period of time where you do the same old thing every single day. They change the rules on you all the time. Oh, this country has a polio outbreak. Send everybody from their home. Next day, okay, they're fine. Everybody from this county in Ostrowskia has to have their passports confiscated. Okay, now everybody from Kolechia needs to be checked for contraband. Okay, now all these diplomats need to come in and you can't give them a hard time, but you have to check their documents to make sure they're valid. So it's just, there's always something new, building upon a base that you need to be really good at. And I keep thinking, do I want to go back to the beginning and be good at it again? No. I need to be terrible for a whole game so that when I come back and play from the beginning again, I can be God tier. Ha ha ha! I've been checking 30 pages worth of data. This simple, does he have a passport, is nothing to me. Ha 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 ha.
Look at my resume. It is
Yeah.
impressive.
You know, you do get bribes, and that's pretty great. One guy asked me to hold his watch for him. Nice digital watch. He would come back a couple days later. People kept seeing it, trying to give me $10-20 for it, which is a lot of money. I told him to fuck off. Well, the guy comes back. He gives me $10 for it. Then he starts bitching about how there's a new scratch on the watch. Wants me to give his money back. So what did I give him? Free trip to the gulag. Fuck with me. Yeah, it's a pretty darn great game. It's really fun to boot up. It's unlike Overwatch, which sucks you in for 3 hours or whatever. You can play this for an hour. Like you play 1 or 2 days, you go, okay, phew, that was enough for tonight, and then you gotta like let it marinate. But gee, you watched me play. You didn't actually get hands on. What did you think of it? Oh, I forgot to mention, you can upgrade your booth, which really just gives you like hotkeys instead of having to actually click on the rule book and on the deny stamp and all that stuff. You just get shortcuts, hotkeys to do it, so you actually move a little faster. But it costs in-game money to do it. Yeah, what did you think of it?
It looks fun. I mean, because we kind of played it together almost. I like it a lot. It has like this weird, almost organizational, like the way it is kind of like work that is almost calming to me. So it's definitely up my alley. I'm considering getting it for me.
Yeah, it's not even the only time pressure. The only real pressure is to not fuck up, and you have to get people in by 6 o'clock. Other than that, it's almost soothing in just how you have to be thorough, and then you're rewarded for it. It's
also, there's that element of risk to it, getting sent to the gulag and having to make decisions and what have you. It still sounds like a world, well, obviously it's a fictional world where there are consequences that you don't have to suffer in real life, unlike a real job.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. In the writing, like I said, is a lot of fun. Like all these different varied character models. I guess they're like, they're just basic drawings of 8-bit style or whatever, but neat writing, different reactions from people, different lies that they feed you, and like the color dialogue for the side stories, like the secret agent and your boss Dimitri, and some guard who's a green color. I don't know how he got there. He's really friendly with me. I'm sure he's going to betray me or something. It's all very interesting.
I'm curious, just because I know you've played and I haven't been there, so you're farther along than last time. Do you still get people who give you like the little card from I assume it's like a strip club?
Oh yeah,
They're like sexy girls.
Yeah, every once in a while somebody walks in and gives me a business card for a strip club. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this is.
Yeah,
for.
like there's nothing to do with it. It just sits on your desk for the rest of the day.
Well, that's also part of the thing about this game. There's no how to, none. They just say do this now. Like there's 2 modes, story mode and endless mode. And I have not tried endless. But there's no like, hey, you should check this and look for this kind of problem. You got to figure it out. And the only way you know you did wrong is if you get a little memo, violation, allowed wanted criminal through. But the way that they actually have you verify things before rejecting somebody is you inspect, you click on the rule in the rule book, and then you click on them not having a passport, or you click on the wanted criminal and click on their face. It either tells you it matches or discrepancy, and then you go from there. But pretty neat. I haven't figured out why people are giving me strip club cards. All right, so we recommended it back then. Now that I've played it, continue to recommend it. Definitely worth $5. The second game that I bought on the Steam sale, Nazi Zombie Trilogy. Now, I sort of expected this to be like a trilogy of games. I think it's more of a trilogy of stories. There's like 3 different things, and they all like 3 different episodes, and they all have different missions in them. I haven't gotten very far because turns out it's hard as fuck. Right? These Zambos get me every time I try to go from one safe house to another. Like, I picked the sniper guy. I said, oh, cool, sniper, right? And then they're like, all right, you want to be a sniper, fine, but these zombies will generate 40 of them within 30 yards of you, so good luck with that. But the game starts off really strong. Germany, World War II. There's Hitler. Any game that busts out Hitler, the big bad, in the very beginning, with the implication that you'll fight him at some point, off to a strong start. That's all I'm saying. Zoom into Hitler's room with Hitler's friends. And the guy's
Hitler simulator.
the guy's like, Führer, we must surrender. There's no other choice. And Hitler's like, ooh! And he picks up a gun and he shoots that guy right in the head. And he goes, the fatherland will never surrender. Activate Plan Z. I'm
Oh
like,
boy.
oh. Plan Z. What was his plan? Activate thousands of zombies across Germany so the Allies cannot invade.
That's a smart plan.
Flawless.
Yeah. So it's meant to be played with four players. Now, Jake, you looked into it a little bit, and it seems like it was made by the same people who made Left 4 Dead.
I don't know about that, but they at least partnered with them and incorporated all 8 characters from the 2 Left 4 Dead games into the story.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's the same characters?
Yeah.
Well, 8 of them are. There are 8 original, and it's literally like Klaus, the SS officer. He's really good at shooting people in their heads or something, and then
From
it's
behind on their knees.
yeah, and then it's like Michael Smith from Montana. He's a great sniper. Blah blah blah. Pretty interesting little flavor text for the different characters. I haven't tried any different modes. There's 3 different difficulties. Guns shoot straight. Guns have a little drop, and then guns have a lot of drop, and there's not a lot of ammo. Which makes this game considerably harder. I would think that like meandering zombies, just kind of shuffling along, would be easy to shoot in the head with a high-powered scope. No, it's not. Okay, their fucking stupid ass heads are moving all around. Then I was getting good at it. I was like, cool. I'll just shoot all these zombies in the face. Game over. I win. Wrong.
Wrong.
They introduced spooky, scary skeletons.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So these skeletons come out, and they have big glowing red hearts. So that's nice. You don't have to shoot the skeletons in the face. You have to shoot them in the chest with your pistol that is accurate to about 4 feet. And then you're just shooting everything in the shoulder. But it doesn't make you feel bad, because every time you hit an enemy, you like string together a combo, and then you get more points. What are the points for? Nothing. But it makes me feel good. The game also keeps track of how far you shoot. For what reason? None. But it makes me want to shoot further. Farther. Farther is the word. So zombies and then skeletons that you can shoot in the torso. Oh, and then in case you forgot, the suicide bomber Nazis of yesteryear, they make a zombie appearance and they run at you strapped with dynamite. And if you shoot, fortunately, you only have to shoot them one hit, then they fall and explode. But if you don't shoot them, then they explode on you.
Oh, no.
So I was totally expecting that enemy. And the point that I've gotten to right now, they go like, it's literally something like, you need to shoot hyper beast super leader Nazis more times than usual to kill them. And it like, I was like fighting these skeletons or whatever, and I see this little message pop up at the bottom. I was like, wait, what the fuck did that say? And the last thing I remember was defend the church. So I'm in this church, I'm like shooting out of windows. It didn't matter. I can't shoot fast enough. Running around, setting trip mines, throwing grenades, throwing dynamite, getting my ass fucked by fucking zombie things.
Hack fucked. That's
Yeah.
the
Hack
worst.
fucked.
The
Well,
worst
it
fuck.
is
What?
like
Don't worry.
gangbang, like
You've got a
pack-
little
pack of zombies.
you got a little kick. Disintegrates the skeletons, pushes the zombies back. You run a lot, but I die. So I defend the place successfully against like 200 spooky spookums. And I'm like walking around like, hey, I better refill my ammo. And then I get shot in the shoulder. I'm like, what the fuck was that? I turn around, I see this like Nazi hype beast behind me with like big gas cans on its back, soulless, burning red eyes, and all of a sudden just shoots me and I die. I'm like, where the fuck did that? What? How do I even begin to fight him? Because like the machine guns, like you can't even take down the skeletons with less than 20 shots. So I don't think that works. The pistols, oh my god. Oh, it's hard. That's my point. It's hard. I'm not good at it. I would really like to play with more people and see if it sort of scales a little differently, because they claim they give you just enough enemies for the number of players, but I'm not sure that's true. A little bit more about the game itself. The artistic style is really, really neat. Sort of like gray and everything's foggy.
Germany.
It's really, really spooky. Everything's burned down. There's like a green tints to different parts of it, like toxic fart gas, you know.
Gotta watch out for that.
The sound work of these zombies really scares me. You hear like, but it's like it's in your ear, but it's really a guy like down the
Are
hall.
you wearing headphones?
No, I'm sitting in front of my TV. They like turn it up to 11. I guess to let them know that you're there.
You're right.
Some of them haul ass, but yeah, consider me rustled. My Jimmy's rustled. What else? The soundtrack is like 80s synth. I'm like, this is perfect zombie slaying music. I love it. How does a synth? That's not what a synthesizer sounds like.
That's exactly. That was straight out of a Remember movie.
Jesus.
Not Muppet.
Yet another game with zero instruction. Nothing. Just dump you in zombie land. Start shooting. Nice little twist that I found out. And by nice, I mean I hated it. If you shoot a zombo in the head, if he's close enough, he still walks over and smashes you with a grenade or something.
Wait, but isn't that supposed to kill the zombie?
Oh, he eventually dies. But he's got like 15 effective feet.
But Bill, I thought you liked surprises.
Oh, that's true.
Burn.
Got him.
Rest assured, any surprise that involves a zombie, I will not appreciate.
Well, have I got a surprise for you?
Oh boy.
Frank, open that closet.
Move that bus.
So, like I said, the pistols, there's different rifles, like sniper rifles. The only thing I noticed different is like the scope and the magazine capacity. One of them holds 7 in the mag. The other holds 10. The machine guns are kind of useful because you have so much ammo, but the shotguns, you just one hit everything. And that looks cool. Like their whole torso explodes. But you can only carry like 27 shells. The pistols are fucking useless across the room, but with the right up in you, it's like the best thing to shoot them in the face. There's some sort of reward system to the game where you earn stars. Well, I don't know how you do it. The only way that I've ever earned a star was I shot a zombie until it fell over, and then I blew his brains out while he was on the ground. And they go, it was like the achievement was like a drunk pick in a fight. What the fuck does that mean?
What?
Like a drunk pick in a fight.
What?
Great.
I don't know, but I don't know what the stars are for, but I need them.
Wait, like you just personally need them? They don't have any benefit in game?
I need them personally.
Okay.
I have no idea what any of these things of measurement are for. I don't know how they benefit.
But it makes you want them more.
I do. It does, in fact, make me want them more.
Just enough mystery.
Yeah. And, I keep switching weapons, and it turns out it's just fucking hard as shit, this fucking game.
So
I want to play it with somebody else. I think I bought it for like $9. Totally worth it. It's harder than fuck. I don't know if I'm ever going to beat it, man. These zombies are too... I haven't even beat the first
good,
story.
son.
Yeah, that's really your only option.
I guess maybe I'll try one of the other characters.
I mean, you could just stop playing video games, write a manifesto, go live in a cabin in the woods.
Get good.
Yeah, but your other option is to get good.
I think I'll try
Those are the only
latter.
options.
Those are the
see.
only options.
Yep.
But if anybody in the room is thinking about picking that up, please do, and then we can play together. maybe it won't be such a ball-busting experience for me. But
I will play it if you promise to stop playing it.
Burn.
wow, that was almost hurtful. You know, Frank?
I can see
The best
Brian
part of
on
that
his
is
side.
that like literally you playing like we could both play the game and never interact on it.
Yeah.
But you have to stop playing for this to work.
That's what makes it so much better.
Okay.
Maybe
Well,
I'll play with you, Bill. I might pick it up.
Okay, great. So the point is, I think this
Done with
little
me
section is
already.
being is actually this recommended Steam deal of the week is. I think it's smashing success because I bought some cool new games and I've loved them so far.
Certainly a success for
Yeah.
Valve.
Yeah. Anybody want to know anything else about this crazy?
I want to know,
scary
and I
zombie
haven't
game?
played it yet, but you need to get your butts on Evil Genius.
How are the graphics for the Zambambo game?
Actually, looks great.
Yeah.
Looks really, really good. Yeah, everything. I was impressed that it didn't look like the old Left 4 Dead games or anything.
So is it a first person shooter?
It is a third-person shooter.
Is it like isometric 3D or is it like
right over the shoulder?
okay?
You're
Okay.
following the guy around. Controls are a little wonky on the movement, like they move a little further than you want, but you get used to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you sort of need the over-the-shoulder thing so that you have a little more room to look around, since you don't have any peripheral vision in video games. These zombies, like you will walk past a place that is clear. There are no zombies, then they pop up in front of you, and then they just spawn out of the ground behind you. And sometimes, I haven't figured out why, you kill a zombie, and then a scary red pentagram forms around them, and they revive and attack you again.
Sounds like there's a necromancer nearby.
I don't know what the fuck's going on.
The Hitlermancer.
The Hitler.
Oh my god. Oh my god, I hope that's how this game ends.
The Hitler's a necromancer.
Yeah.
Yep.
That'd be actually amazing. Yeah.
But probably my favorite part, if you shoot them from far enough away, it goes into slow-mo, the bullet flying out of your gun up into the sky, and then right as it's about to hit the zombie, X-ray, and you watch the bullet like break through their zombie bones and then come out deformed on the other end. You're like, yeah, eat it, zombie.
Like some Sniper Elite level
Yeah, mixed with Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat 2, yeah.
It was especially satisfying when there were just super jumping. I'm talking like 10 stories, super jumping, green fart gas, sniper zombies shoot my ass from across the map. And
they use the fart gas to propel them. Maybe that's their jetpack.
I don't know.
I've tried. It doesn't work.
I
in
didn't
real
get
life.
close enough because I shot them with a sniper rifle, and it was very satisfying.
Wait, so how big is the map that you're playing? Like, are you in one building and you're defending the building?
No. You move through a whole. It's not open world by any means. It's basically you're moving through like a single path.
Kind of like Left 4 Dead, where you're going through.
Exactly.
Okay.
But at different points throughout that level, they'll have a building be like, defend this building, which really just means survive anywhere you can. But they do sort of lock you in zones to keep you can't just. There are a lot of invisible walls to keep you from just running away.
Yeah.
And
I hate
kiting.
invisible walls.
Well, it's necessary for the gameplay, and I spent $9 on the game. I'll cut it some slack.
Yeah.
You know, because like if you could just run indefinitely, you could just kite them because they're so slow.
My feel on invisible walls is why do they have to be invisible? It's just design the game environment so that there are actual walls.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes there's a little fire there. Sometimes there's an overturned horse cart. Sometimes they're just like, fuck you. I don't know. Maybe the Germans had invisible walls back in the day.
Maybe.
You weren't
know.
there.
I wasn't. Neither were you. To
Part
say
of
they
their
were.
occult technology.
This is all in preparation for when Elon finally gets us to the dark side of the moon and we find the Nazi base that's been hiding there
All along
all along.
Yes.
with Hitlermancer.
Yeah. So, G, your marching orders are to pick up this game so that I can play with somebody else immediately.
Oh, okay.
Frank can get around to it if he wants to. I don't really care.
Exactly the answer I want.
Yeah.
That he doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we get a fourth, take release.
Is it available on Mac or PC?
I think you can play it on both because it's a Steam game.
I will
Not
get
all
that.
Steam games are both.
Oh, really?
No. That's
Oh.
why I asked.
Well,
Oh,
But it has little icons there.
well, whatever it is, Lisa, get that computer and
Yes.
we'll play.
You have a.
I have.
Yes.
all right.
Yes.
You have a non-Mac computer.
I do. I have a desktop too.
It sits in your room. And
Oh
does not
shit!
much.
It's up to $45
It
now.
was on sale.
I didn't realize it was like 80% off.
Whoa.
That's why it was such a good deal.
wow.
Yeah.
I don't wish I would have bought it now.
Now I don't want to pay $45 for it.
I'm sure it'll go on sale in another 20 minutes or something.
Put it on your wish list, and it will let you know.
Yeah.
I just bought like a bunch of stuff from Macy's that, yeah.
Who shops at Macy's and what do they
Frank.
buy there?
Work clothes.
Yeah.
Computer
I had
parts.
to buy nice clothes for work.
Okay.
And they elevated the shopping portal to 5 miles per dollar. So if you shop through the American Airlines shopping portal, you get 5 miles per dollar spent at Macy's.
Wow.
Plus they had a big sale this weekend, so it ended up being about the same price as Amazon anyway. And I got 5 miles per dollar
There you go.
on shoes and pants and socks.
Okay. All right. It is now break time. Thank you for humoring me, and I still recommend Papers, Please and Zombie Army Trilogy. Get out there and start shooting those Nazi zombies.
We will return shortly.
I'm positive, Frank, that you love peanuts all in your mouth. There you go.
I do.
There's your sex pun. You fucking chode.
I
Head you off at the pass.
what?
Yes.
Huh?
What? Who?
All right, we're back.
Oh, I have a little story to tell.
Okay, go ahead.
So on Friday, I was working on the amber lamps, and we had to take this old guy to dialysis, and he's totally nonverbal. So I have to go talk to his daughter, and seems flustered. She's dealing with her kid, and he's running around the house, and he's got a game controller in his hand. And I start talking to her about the patient, and then I finally look over at the screen, and I see that the kid's playing Fortnite. And I was like, oh, Fortnite. And then like he immediately like stopped everything he was doing to talk to me about games. And it was like this cool, like I'm trying to do my job, but like I got to relate to this kid, and like his mom was impressed. She was like, oh, you play this stuff too? Like blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, I've only played it once or twice, but I have a lot of friends who play it. And like, it was just cool to have that, like to see being on the podcast and actually listening. Cause for most of those, I don't think I was even here. How like it's a total subject I don't know or I'm not familiar with, and now that I've listened and talked about it with people, I can like relate to people.
Our podcast is
Our
useful.
podcast. Exactly.
When did
Learn from us.
When did you play Fortnite?
Not Fortnite, PUBG.
When did you play PUBG?
So what game
New
did
Year's
you
Eve.
watch?
Wait, what?
Right. I totally forgot about that.
Both of them.
Yeah.
She screamed a lot.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's right. You did play. You were very scared.
Yeah, probably.
Also
Oh.
drunk.
Yes.
Mostly drunk.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Frank,
Anyway.
you said you won. You got first place a couple times.
Well, I won a lot in those games.
Oh, I'm Frank. I win all the time. It's not that
So why did you find it remarkable enough to say it today?
I never won back to back.
Oh,
I won back to back today. We had back to back wins. Though to be fair, I did not so much win as me and everybody on my team died except for my one friend, who then proceeded to hide in a bush until the very last circle and then threw a grenade and killed the last team. And we won.
True champion.
I too hide in bushes.
Yeah. And that was in Fortnite, not PUBG. So before everybody who listens to us hates us, they're like, oh no. Because in PUBG, people get really pissed about that kind of stuff, like hiding in bushes and then just. But like, I also think that's a valid strategy in PUBG. But like, no one in Fortnite seems to really like everybody in Fortnite's like, oh no, that's awesome. But if you said you did that to somebody in PUBG, they'd be like, bro, you're a fucking faggot, bro. And I'm like, why? Like, what difference does it make how you win? The whole game's about not dying and then being the last person alive. If you hide in a bush the entire match and then kill the only person left other than yourself, like, that's a pretty successful match.
No, Frank, you're supposed to run around out in the open and get shot at, and then the last one to get shot and killed is the winner. Duh.
I know I used to get really
Agree.
frustrated in Counter-Strike with campers because, like, if everybody camped, the game wouldn't happen and it'd be really boring. So you were, like, kind of expected to run around, but then one guy would hide behind a door frame and shoot 4 people who run through there. And it's like, we all have to move around or the game sucks. But you decide that you wanted to. I don't feel, maybe it's because I don't play PUBG or whatever, but the circle is shrinking, force you to move to some degree.
And that's the difference, that's what makes the game interesting, and why. Yeah, camp all you want. You're gonna have to move anyway because of the circle.
Yeah, I heard. Aren't the bushes really hard to see through in Fortnite?
Yes, they're very thick. You got a lot of thick bush in PUBG and Fortnite.
That was one suggested change that I saw. Make them see through, like a see-through filter for people who are in it.
I don't think it's. I think they should leave it the way it is. The game is the game works really well the way it is. Don't change too much.
You know, it's pretty interesting. Fortnite has a number of other modern games has a color blindness filter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're colorblind, if you have like red, blue, or whatever, I think
normally red green.
I guess there are different kinds of it. I'm not saying that. I know how that sounded, but I remember reading the post. There are different kinds, and you can select in a lot of games. You can select which color blindness you have, and the games will adjust so that you can see between it. But this all spawned from a post. This kid was talking. He didn't have a left hand, but he wanted to play Fortnite. And the way that he would typically play is he would use a mouse in one hand.
Nothing in the other hand because
But there is no
doesn't
other.
exist.
Yeah, I got too deep into that sentence. I didn't know how to get out of it. I guess he uses a mouse either in his hand or not, and a controller either in his hand or not. But he uses a controller and mouse in conjunction, and Fortnite couldn't take both inputs at the same time. And he made a post about it, and the people who made the game just changed it. They're like, no, you can do it. They put it in their next update. I was like, wow, Fortnite seems to be a really good responsive company.
Okay, so it's Epic Games is the developer for that, who are one of the best like community generating developers out there. I mean, they made Unreal Tournament back in the day, and that was one of those games back in the heyday of PC gaming, which I like to think of like 1998 through like 2002, 2003, basically until like PS2 really took over everyone's life. That was the heyday. And like you think about like Unreal Tournament back then, that shit was huge. Everybody played it. And like it was just a different era. And like they made sure to create like, you know, the forums and all the support that goes into creating a good community for a game. They were really good with. And then now they're doing Fortnite. First of all, Fortnite is free, which is awesome. Probably why it's so popular, right?
Are they making money through microtransactions?
I wouldn't even call them microtransactions, just like more of a subscription type cosmetic service. Because like to me, if you're saying microtransactions, you are saying like you can buy little things a little bit at a time. Like I think the smallest purchase you can make in Fortnite is like $10. It's not a microtransaction. That's just a transaction. And it's actually a great deal too. I'm probably going to spend it. So the game is free. And if you buy the battle pass for, I think it's like 850 coins, whatever they call their in-game currency, you get a bunch of cool free cosmetics, and you unlock a separate tier of challenges and other stuff that aren't available to the general community to earn more of the in-game currency. And then like basically if you buy one battle pass and you play the game often enough, you're going to be able to continually buy the battle passes without spending any more than your initial $10.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of locking away challenges, anything other than aesthetics, but that sounds like a kind of a
the only thing that the only thing you get from completing the challenges is in-game currency to buy more cosmetics.
Right.
Yeah. So
that's cool. You want to really get triggered?
Sure.
I was watching the Angry Joe Show review of Metal Gear Survive.
I haven't even heard of this.
Yeah, it came out kind of recently. Full price game. It's a zombie survival game using the Fox engine and sequel to Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, which I like very much for all its weirdness. If you want a second save slot,
No.
$10.
No. What?
and you have to buy the currency, and they don't have an even number of points.
No.
Are you fucking kidding
No.
me?
Yup. Konami
What the fuck?
is the dark
trash.
side. And the game apparently wasn't that good in his opinion, but I haven't played it myself.
So if you're not familiar with why a second game slot is important, you need to rotate your saves just in case you get to a point where the game is broken and you need to go back to when it's not broken and play through it differently.
This is increasingly important. Not less important as technology advances.
Right.
FYI.
There are ways that you can go through the game and trigger some event where the game is then broken. You cannot progress ever. You need 2 slots. You go, oh, let me go to my alternate save and try to do it in a way that doesn't break the game this time. If you only have 1 save and you do something like that, your game is then over.
Yeah, you got to start back. from the
Start
beginning.
over.
You have to start all over again. $10 on a full-priced game.
Mhm.
Wh-
That alone made me not want to buy it. The rest of the review, I mean, Angry Joe rips everything apart. He's very harsh as a reviewer, but he was livid. The show was called Angry Joe, so he's supposed to be generally angry. I am surprised he did not trash his own studio. He was so upset with that game.
Why would anyone do that? Why would you make someone pay to save another slot?
In his words, I would also, like him, rather play Pachinko, which is what Konami now owns exclusively makes. Because at least I could have made some money on it.
Well, who made this full-priced game, quote-unquote, which is simply a zombie DLC, it sounds like.
Konami.
When? When did they make it?
It came out pretty recently.
Right before they became a pachinko company? They've
No,
been
after. They are now a Pachinko company. They have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who did they get to make this?
The creator of Metal Gear Solid left the company for as yet unclear reasons, creative differences and or pay disagreements, who knows. He was a perv anyway, but at least the games were good for what they were.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. Whole other topic. But yeah. Yeah. I just thought since we were talking about microtransactions and how Fortnite appears to do them right in as much as they are purchases made in the game after beginning the game.
Yeah.
Let's say that. And being sounds like they're totally optional and just a way of supporting the company if you like them, which I'm all about.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things. It's like, hey, they put out what? So like you compare Fortnite to PUBG, and there are two main reasons I will say people play Fortnite over PUBG. I personally prefer PUBG and think it is a far superior game in its desired form. Fortnite is way more polished. Now, I will say that every update that PUBG comes out with, the game is improving in its performance and its general polish. Right? When PUBG first hit the Xbox One back in December, it was hard to make it through 3 games without the game crashing and you having to start the game back up.
Well, that's that Arma engine, right?
Yeah.
It does some pretty neat stuff like bullet penetration, deflection, ricochets, bullet drop, different styles of damage from like, get shot in the leg and bleeding out or whatever. But additionally, you'll drive a Jeep over a curb and it'll shoot you 4,000 feet in the air.
Yeah, that happens. So I think I talked about that on the podcast weeks ago, Fortnite versus PUBG. You can check it out. Please go listen to it.
Oh, wait a minute. I got to cut it here. I was sitting at work and a guy I sit across from, Mike, goes, hey, did you ever play PUBG? I'm like, yeah, we actually talk about it on the podcast. He goes, "Oh," I'm like, "Yeah, you know that podcast that we made 36 episodes of. You keep saying you're gonna listen to. You want to know if I play Fortnite? I told you 6 weeks ago we have an episode."
Nice. Got him.
Burn.
Oh.
I think in the end, I'm the one who's burned because
He didn't
knowing me
listen.
personally, he still doesn't want to listen to the episode.
Yeah, that's how most of my friends are.
Yep.
Same.
Anyway, so obviously I go over all the problems with PUBG and the lack of polish, and just in general, quite honestly, the lack of any type of apparent quality control that they had when they released that game. It seems like they basically just copy pasted the computer code and then saw, oh, this doesn't work. What parts do we have to delete or change to get the game to start? And then they just kind of like went until they're like, yeah, about half the time the game starts, so let's just release it. So that has changed. I think they're on like update 9 or 10 for PUBG, and the game runs. I'm getting they have it locked, unfortunately, to 30 frames per second. I'm getting a fairly consistent 30 frames per second on the Xbox One X. But the other reason I think people prefer Fortnite over PUBG, other than that polish, is the speed of play. Fortnite, I mentioned this when we first came out. Games go much quicker.
Well, I mean, Fortnite, the Arma engine on which PUBG runs, it's a simulator.
Yeah.
Fortnite is basically the World of Warcraft version of PUBG.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it can abandon realism and things can happen a lot faster.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's a little goofy. The building element really does add a lot. But this is all stuff we've talked about before. The one thing I can really say that I appreciate about what Fortnite has done is they took a game, they found a way to release a great game for free, still get paid, like still be able to support themselves, and implement the microtransactions in such a way where you really don't feel like you miss much if you don't do it, but you feel like you get a lot if you do it.
First off, you said doo-doo. Second off, if we like this style of support, then we need to use it, right? Because the only way that this is going to continue is if they still make money doing this. So
Yeah.
this is our shit or get off the pot moment as consumers.
Well, and the way I look, I mean, here's the advantage, and as from a business standpoint, right? Here's the advantage to releasing a game for free, supported by well thought out transactions. I won't even call them microtransactions, like I said, because the cheapest one I saw was $10, and I don't consider that micro. If you release a free game, millions of people will download it just because it's free. If you release a free good game, millions of people will download it and play it a lot. And you only need to convert a couple of, like a small percentage of them to make a good buck. I mean, imagine, a huge game. Skyrim is one of the best-selling games of all time. Sold, 12 million copies, I think. That's one of the best-selling games of all time, probably top 10 best-selling game of all time. Fortnite, you can get 40 or 50 million downloads because it's free. Who wouldn't download a free game if somebody told you it's good? If somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, this game's pretty good, you should try it out." Oh, it's free. You're probably going to go home and download it and at least try it. And if it turns out you like the game, if you can get 40 million people, right, to download the game, and you only get 10% of those to convert to some sort of purchase, I mean, you're busting the walls down on sales.
Yeah, it reminds me of like when I was in high school.
Real quick, sorry, Bill. 22.7.
For Skyrim?
Yep, million.
Wow.
Trying to get an as
So
of-
Fortnite might even have more down.
Oblivion had 12.4.
That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
what's Fortnite's download? So while Jake Googles this, I'll tell this little aside. When I was in high school, I wasn't really into metal in general. The only reason I ended up getting into the genre was because somebody gave me a CD for free, and then I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was sort of an acquired taste. And then they gave me the rest of these albums for free. And then I said, holy shit, I really like some of these bands. And then I started going to their concerts, started buying their gear, and then I started buying their music afterwards.
Fortnite crossed 40 million in January.
Yeah.
So
There you
it was
go.
like, I'm a perfect, well, I'm not a perfect example of anything. I'm an example of, I would not have been a consumer of this media in any way if it had cost me money to get interested in it. So I really think there's merit to this model of disperse for free and then give the opportunity for the consumer to pay up for whatever they want.
I 100% agree. I mean, you're going to reach a lot more people, and you're the one thing that you can always count on, pretty much anything, when there's 7 billion people in the world, like pretty much anything you release, you're going to get some diehard fans of, and they're going to drop tons of money into whatever it is that you have. That's going to be like their primary focus. Like, I'm sure I've talked a lot about where I go. Our listeners can probably realize that I really like to travel by now, and I spend thousands of dollars per year on travel. Well, there's some people who love Fortnite more than I love to travel and will spend as much or more on that game than I will on traveling. So, you know, right there, if you have one person spend $2,000 on a single game, that's the same as what, like 10, almost 50 people buying the game, a little less, 40 people buying the game or so. So, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah. All right. Well, I still haven't played either very much regularly. I'm getting pretty deep into Overwatch.
I really, really recommend, and I mean, here's the other thing. Once again, I really recommend you download Fortnite and give it a shot because it's free and it's fun.
Is it on PC?
It is.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
I think it's actually more popular on PC right now than it is on Xbox.
Just that game style fucking stresses me out so much. And there's like all that crafting. I'm watching some of these replay videos of these people. They're so good.
Dude, I'm telling you, if
feel
you
like I'm so
watch
far
if
behind.
you watch like the streamers play, you'll think the game's impossible. But it's, I mean, you know, we won back to back today, and we're not that good. I've barely played the game. Oh, I'm sorry. What I meant to say at the beginning of this was, so Fortnite. We last talked about it. PUBG had not even yet come out on Xbox, and basically as soon as PUBG came out on Xbox, I dropped Fortnite and didn't touch it for months until 2 weeks ago, I want to say. And here's why I think the transactions are very successful. The support that game has had since its release has been like, I mean, the map is the same shape, but they added like 10 new locations. Like when the game first came out, they have these little areas that you can land at, and they're all named stupid names because it's a cartoony game, you know, and they're almost all like alliterations, like Tomato Town or Fatal Fields, right? Anarchy Acres and
Hershey Highway.
yes. So they added. Let me see if I can say Snobby Shores, Tilted Towers, Lucky Landing.
Isn't it like Moist Mire? or
Moisty Mire, that
something?
was in there though.
Gross.
There's one
What's
up at
wrong with the
Haunted,
word moist?
Haunted Hills.
Ugh, it makes me think of the wetness of the
Welcome
person's
to our
mouth who's saying it.
ASMR.
Oh,
Welcome to
Radio.
moist. Moist.
stop.
You ever listen to the radio and you can hear that
Yes.
the wetness of the person's mouth?
There was a commercial back in the day for some bullshit weight loss pill, and whoever mic'd the spokeswoman, I'm sure her mouth must have been full with gummy bears. And it was every time she said a word, there was a bunch of extra spit and sound of it. You really drove me fucking crazy. They eventually replaced it, but it only took them about 10 years to figure it out.
That is disgusting.
That is
It was
awful.
All right.
was it
Anyway,
lipazine?
yeah.
It was
So-
just some bullshit.
Yeah. So the game has been supported really well. They added new weapons. They added a ton new cosmetics. I mean, it's like everything that you would want them to do as a game comes out for what is essentially like a pre-release beta. They did. And they did it well. And the game runs even smoother than it did. So that, you know, like I said, especially when the game first came out, PUBG ran like absolute dog shit. And then that was what drove a lot of people to playing Fortnite over PUBG on Xbox specifically. And Fortnite just really kept diving in on that. I mean, the game runs 60 frames per second. The HDR is awesome. The art direction is really good. So I've been playing it more. It also, I've probably put like 250 hours into PUBG, maybe more. So it was time to slow down a little bit. At times I've been getting pretty frustrated. Lisa can attest to that.
It's true.
Yeah, I was I really have a hard time getting into games so late because I hate being trash. And that's part of the reason I've been sticking with Overwatch so hard. Like I got to the point where I was competing with people who were way better than me. I was doing a little bit of competitive, but I play with Carl from the podcast and he's much better. And I was getting into that old role where I would come around a corner and get blown away and not do shit. So I've been trying to learn other characters. But I was about, a half an inch from just putting the game down. At some point you get so, you got to, it's like the opposite of a sunk cost fallacy, right? You're like, I have played so much and I'm still not gotten good. I got to quit.
Well, I think with everything that must be learned, if you're going at it hard, like it's good to put it down for a little while. Like I play guitar, right? Mm-hmm. Now I don't play. I mean, I have a degree in it. Like
you say you play, but I mean, a couple chords.
Yeah, I know like some open chords, and I can play the solo to Master Puppets. I never learned that solo. I'm lying. But I mean, even like months can go by where I just get busy with life. I'm not picking up the instrument. Then I'll pick it up again and just figure out whatever I was working on last. Like it'll just click. Just that act of resting and letting your brain digest the rest of it. It's like going to sleep, except you're just doing it with one specific skill set. Mm-hmm. And I've had the same experience with games. I mean, Devil May Cry, I was talking about the last episode. I'll get real good at something, but I keep fucking up this one area and I'll put it down. And then I'll come back to it and just smoke it at the first try. That's the only one I've recently. But yeah, I mean, maybe if you're getting your shit wrecked, whether it's Overwatch or PUBG or whatever, just stop screaming at it. Put the controller down. Do something different.
Yeah, sleep. I mean, we put my dog to sleep a while ago. I don't think he's learning anything now.
Well, you put him to sleep.
He has
a little
to choose.
different.
Yeah.
Choose the sleep.
Did you old yeller him or?
No. Nope. Modern medicine. Good night, Irie. No, I didn't have my grenade. This is rough. This is my childhood dog I'm talking about here. What a monster I am. Frank, any more on Fortnite?
I don't think so. The next Battlefield is apparently going to have a Battle Royale mode. That'll be interesting.
Is it going to shrink down? Is this game mode fully ascending to
I think so.
Genre?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we'll see a couple of them. I'm excited to see some other takes on it. EA makes Battlefield, so I'm sure that'll be all microtransactioned up, and you'll have people that will spend like $4,000 to spawn with like an RPG and a 249 and like the best armor in the game, and then they'll just win.
Why would it work for it when I just pay money?
Yeah.
Well, if you just hook up your credit card, you change the charge rate, and then the circle shrinks less quickly for you.
I think it would be cool to see something more organic than just a shrinking circle. Like on a war zone, you have that opportunity. Yeah. Like the places can get bombed out. Like, oh, there's a bombing run coming, and it'll just glass like a part of the city.
You know what? I would like to see, like, if we're gonna do something like that, like a post-apocalyptic style one, right? And then like nukes go off so that it's not a circle, but like nuclear, like some sort of nuclear device goes off in parts of the map, and it inundates them with radiation, and then it leaves that area basically like you can't go in there or you'll take a lot of radiation and then die. And then like different, like each bomb can go off and it leaves like it takes up a certain area. So like let's say the map is like PUBG, like 8 by 8 kilometers, right? And each bomb takes up 1 square kilometer, right? So like it's not going to be a circle. It could be like, let's say the first time, like that would mean there's 64 square kilometers in the whole thing. Let's say for the first one, 32 of them explode, and it could be any pattern whatsoever.
So that was my question. Do you do it randomly? Like, let's say you're going to get rid of one square. Is it random? Is it where the most players are or where the least players are?
The one thing you got to watch out for is I think building or erecting barriers between groups of players.
I don't think you even.
I don't know.
need
That'd be
to.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
It would, but then you could have one dude who just got lucky and is sitting like by himself for the rest of the game, and then everyone else, and he just wins like by default.
I think the key would be, one, they would have to be somewhat grouped together, right? So that you couldn't have like just one square out in the middle of the wasteland that's still active. And two, you would have to be like, just like the circle shows you like where the next one's going to go, you would have to see which squares are going to blow up or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you would know like, okay, I got to move. I got like 2.5 minutes before this place is nuked. I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
I think instead of any warning, they should just take a note from Nazi Zombie Trilogy and have Hitlermancer summon hordes of Zambos and skeletons from the ground, and then occasionally a super hype beast Nazi shock trooper zombie just from the ground. And you don't take damage necessarily like in Fortnite, but you do get attacked by the Zambos and skeletons until you get into the new square.
You could be onto something there. There are many ways to go about this.
Yeah.
This reminds me a lot of our Zombisty Warriors idea. We are crushing it. What other great ideas do we have?
Warriors?
Yeah, last time.
Basically, invest in us now while prices are low, because we're going to be hot.
Speaking of
next
which,
few years.
I watched two best friends play Dynasty Warriors 9 the other day. I was like, this would be so much better as Zombisty Warriors. It was a rough game.
I
We'll
think
play those.
we could make. I honestly think we could make a really good, really, really good battle royale game. It would not be on the Arma engine. Maybe we'd have to steal. You just
The
can't
Declaration of Independence.
Yes.
Do you think you could do the parachuting thing? I don't think you could in the creation engine. Like if we could get really good at modding
What runs on the creation engine?
Skyrim and Fallout 4.
Yeah, you could definitely parachute.
Make our own engine.
I don't trust those engines.
With the
Yeah, that's a good
Declaration of
point.
Independence.
Maybe the Fox engine?
Maybe.
Metal Gear Solid?
Maybe. Well, what?
Had really good shooting
You would need
mechanics.
something that has really good mod support, though. You know, I don't know if the Fox engine does. That's why I have initially thought of the creation engine, is because the tools are out there to create basically whatever you want.
That's
That
true.
Makes sense.
That's
with the
true.
name.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
I honestly think we could make a really good one. Watch out for that, people. It'll probably never happen.
Well, we'll see.
But keep your eye out.
We'll see.
Yeah.
You
Invest now.
know.
Send it. Ooh, we'll fund it with a cryptocurrency
Also, yes.
called fart coins.
Oh my goodness.
The fuck, dude. All right, Lisa,
Yes.
you wanted to talk about Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yes.
Please do.
Yes. So I played the first and second one. I haven't played. They came out one for the Nintendo DS. I don't remember what it was called, but it was kind of a weird sequel to 2, I think.
What is Kingdom Hearts like? What's the general idea?
Yeah, so Kingdom Hearts it's an RPG game, and it's kind of cool. And the part of why I like it a lot is because it does have its own original characters. So your main character you play as, his name is Sora.
Mm-hmm.
Sora has really giant clown feet, and he looks a
Yes.
little ridiculous.
And
but
he jumps like he weighs nothing.
he does. He kind of jumps, and his like feet go out to the side like a frog, and he kind of like frogs around. I don't know. But anyway, so you play as Sora, and there's a whole bunch of other characters, and you start out on this island, and suddenly you're like doing things, and you're with your friends, Riku and Kairi, and they're like, I want to escape the island. And you're like, okay, like we're going to build a boat, and you build a little raft thing. And like the night before you're about to set out from your home island, your entire island gets swallowed up by the darkness, and suddenly your planet is no more. So it thrusts you into the rest of the game.
What?
That got
And-
deep fast, didn't it?
Sure did.
It did. And you end up meeting, first you meet some characters. So there's two main parts of the characters. There's Final Fantasy characters that appear in this, and there's also Disney characters that appear in this. Mostly Disney, but also some Final Fantasy characters. So it's kind of cool. The style of the characters is style that like they look like Final Fantasy characters. Like Sora looks like he's from Final Fantasy, but he's not.
But he has big Disney clown feet.
He does. Yes, you know.
Man, that's hot.
That's how they meld those two
You know
together.
what they say about big Disney clown feet, guys?
Big Disney dongle.
Oh no!
Disney
Nope. All of a
Channel.
sudden, Goofy popped in my head, and I'm like, oh no! Oh,
But Goofy is in the game though, so you have
like a
two
sidekick.
companions.
Goofy's one of your boys.
he
He
one of
is.
your
So you have
boys.
two companions that you end up finding after you've
Fucking
gone through
Goon
like the
Squad.
initial like little first part. You go to what is it called? Traveler's Town.
Yeah,
Is the
or
first town you
Traverse
come
Town.
Traverse Town that you come to, and then eventually you meet Goofy and Donald Duck,
What a
right?
fucking
And they're your
character.
boys.
You know,
Like
why not?
Goofy's kind of like your tank, I guess, and he has like a shield, and he does Goofy things, whatever. And then you have Donald, who's like your little mage.
Oh my god.
And
I played a little bit of this game, and fucking Donald is the worst.
he loves to die all the
just
time.
He just dies all the time. That angry duck.
I was gonna say he's angry. He doesn't have pants. Like it's just
It's yeah,
It's
a
an
whole
action
thing.
RPG game, and you do have to manage their behavior and level them up.
yeah.
And when you do that, they stop being little bitches.
I'm like, Donald,
Yeah.
fuck off. Do not be around melee. And he just can't help himself.
You gotta tell him what to do. You go into his little settings, and you're like, "Yeah, magic boy." The thing is there's a magic bar, and when it runs out, it's got to recharge. And part of recharging it is smacking stuff
Yeah.
Oh.
or using potions.
Oh.
So the main part of the story is you find out that your little island wasn't really the only thing out there, and that there's these whole bunch of different worlds that are kind of their own quote like planets, and you can travel between them, and eventually you get a little ship that you can do that with. Your gummy ship. Gummy. I think it's pronounced gummy ship.
It's coming in.
I am notorious for mispronouncing things forever until someone corrects me. So
okay.
I'm
It's
assuming it's gummy ship. And then you can go to all these different worlds, and each of the different worlds is a different Disney world. So one of the first ones you go to, you can either travel to Alice in Wonderland, or what's the other first one you can go to?
I remember what the first. I remember.
But you can also go. So there's a whole bunch of different ones. So there's you can
Beauty
go to
and the Beast? No, that's one of the last ones, I
that's
think.
the last one. That's Holobastion,
Yeah.
which is like the last world you come to in the first game. But there's a whole bunch of other ones you go to. There's the Little Mermaid's world you go to. There's Tarzan's world you go to.
Peter Pan.
Peter Pan. Peter Pan's cool one actually. The first one you find it, you're like in the gummy ship, and you like there's like a little mini game basically that you play while you're traveling between the
Right.
worlds. And all of a sudden Monstro comes up and he eats you.
Wait, that's Pinocchio.
That's Pinocchio also.
Yes, and because I was
No,
gonna say
but then
that's
there's
the best
also
part.
that's one of the yeah okay. So then you find Pinocchio's world and you're inside Monstro, but Peter Pan's world you find the ship, and then you go to the
pirate
ship, the pirate ship, right? And then you're on the pirate ship, and that's that world, and then it can kind of flip flop, and all of a sudden you're at Big Ben in London, and then you fight this other like mini side boss thing. But it's cool because you go between the different worlds, and it has those characters in it. And the music in each of the worlds is different and fitting and from each of those movies. So you basically go around and you're Sora and you have Goofy and Donald, and you have your weapon is called a Keyblade.
and it's a giant key
It's a giant
that you
key,
use like a sword.
no blade whatsoever, very blunt object, and it slices things. It's great. Yeah.
Magic
You
reasons.
get different keys from every. Is it every
Yeah,
world?
each of the different worlds has a different key that you get when you beat it, and it will have like it have different stats. They usually get better as it goes up. Some of them have different perks, like different combos that you can get or other things you do with them.
I'm sorry. Did they also remaster the first two recently, or just
Yeah.
re-release?
No,
them?
you're correct.
I
they
think
did.
so.
Yeah.
They remastered at least one.
Yeah.
I would really like to play that. I'm sure. Is it a PlayStation exclusive?
Yeah, it is.
The remaster. I was afraid.
Yeah,
That's
of
what
that.
I had my hands on at Bridger's house.
Yeah.
It's pretty tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how much a PS4 is going for, like the non-PS4 Pro, just like the.
I
regular
honestly would pick it
PS4.
up just to play Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah,
again.
no,
Yep.
that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I
I
Like,
have a PS2.
because
and
the original
copies, but-
Xbox, like I'll bet you could get a. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll look this up and I'll pick up like a PS4, like a refurbished original PS4 for like if you could pick that up for like $100, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so there's a lot of aspects to the game. You like when you kill enemies, they drop like little health balls and little money balls.
As-
MUNIE,
as in the real world.
I think. I don't know. Little money balls. MUNI. Yeah. Little monies.
Monies.
And
Surprised it's not like Disney bucks.
right. Mickey coins. But yes, you go through each of the worlds, and it has all the characters from those movies, and there's some sort of plot. Like in Alice in Wonderland, like the Queen of Hearts, she has Alice and she decides that Alice needs to die, but then all of a sudden Alice has been captured.
Much like in the movie.
So you go through like the world and you're like in a wonderland and you go through like the little garden mazes and there's all these other things. And your main enemy that you fight are these Heartless. They're like these little black creature things. There's a whole bunch of different iterations of them. Some of them fly, some of them go into the ground and like move around so you can't hit them.
Yeah, they're kind of like shadows almost. The way they're able to move around and
I think
appear.
I think the first ones you fight, the little like rabbit looking things, I think they're called shadows.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So eventually you find out between going all these different worlds that there's this greater thing obviously going on because you need some other plot line, right? So
not just Disney for fun, but also Disney for fun.
No, there is a very good fantasy reason that you're traveling between all these worlds.
Yes. Yeah. So you eventually find out that there's this kind of...
Are we spoiling it?
The game is
has come out so long ago. If you don't know about it now,
don't ruin it for me.
Yeah, he was
We're gonna play it.
You're fucked, Bill.
No, this doesn't spoil it though. So you find out that there's like these super villains from all the different movies. They're like plotting and they're trying to like...
They're like standing around like gods of Olympus trying to...
Yeah. Like they're...
plot your demise and the world's demise, I guess.
Yeah, so they're kind of trying to destroy everything. And, you know, if you don't defeat the Heartless, they're going to eventually like destroy each world. But using your Keyblade... you can go find the magic keyhole that's in each of the worlds and close it so that none of the Heartless are there anymore. But really, they still appear because how could you get XP if you don't have any enemies spawning?
Also,
basically,
who would ever think keys defeat shadows? Like,
next time I see a shadow I don't like, I'm going to throw my house keys at it.
Yep.
FYI, I'm seeing a refurb PS4 around $200, so that's
I'd pitch in for that.
That's a potential thing to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's really good. And then, you know, eventually you beat that and you go to all the worlds. What's also nice about the games, and it carries over to the second one as well, is that you like get different abilities and there's different chests and different, they're called like little paw prints. What are those things? The Trinities.
Oh, yeah.
Different colored Trinities. And when you have your companions, if you find a Trinity, you basically have to level up, I guess, to be able to do the different colored ones. And you get like a new chest from it. You get a chest that you do some little like...
They're little secret locations that give you different items.
Like some of them, like you all climb up on each other's shoulders and it's a little animation of you like grabbing a chest from way up high and you get a chest. But you have to like level up and you have to... eventually you get to double jump so you can jump high. So you have to go back to the different worlds once you beat them so you can go get these other items.
It's an action RPG and I think both 1 and 2, which we haven't talked about 2 yet, but both of them strike a really solid balance between RPG elements and, you know, action, platforming, fighting, unlocking moves, and you can even like hot swap moves like in the menus if one particular combo isn't doing it for you.
Yeah.
Toward the end of the first game, there's 2 combos you unlock in particular. The one's called Ragnarok and the other one's called Ars Arcana, and they're just like I think the Ragnarok is like it's like an aerial combo.
Yeah.
And Ars Arcana is on the ground. And if you execute them, you just go into this like flurry of strikes. And if you get it, like, it's just so satisfying to pull it off and just have that endless succession of hits.
That's another thing
they're
I
like
liked
the 2
about
best combos in the game.
Yeah. Another thing I do like about the game though is that there's a lot of combo based moves for fighting enemies, and it's just so nice when you're up in the air for like 10 seconds just like slamming away at Heartless left and right and just destroying everything. It's really nice. The gameplay is really good. You know, you go through the different worlds, so it's refreshing going to each one, and you're able to go back to them too, so it's not like you're done with that and then basically plot wise you're finished with that world and you can just go back at your leisure. Eventually it kind of pulls you back in to have to go to the other worlds again, so it's fun.
Do I remember there being a tiny bit of a platforming element to the game as well?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I always appreciate that a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of platformers, but some of them are like...
Well, platforming in 3D is notoriously difficult.
Yes, exactly. But like, I think of a game like Uncharted, you know, which also PlayStation exclusive and something that might have to happen with this PS4 that is probably going to be bought now. Some of them turn out to be really good. As much as like it's a pretty sad. That's one of the things that I have against platformers is that it's like, you know, it's like, oh great, I get to run around and jump on things. But like Portal is a platformer,
right?
Great game. It's like one of my favorite games.
It's a platform puzzle game.
Yeah. You know, like I said, Uncharted are always really good. If you can throw a little bit of a platforming element into a game, I think it's worthwhile.
Well, it's there. It's there in as much as you have to navigate the world, and that's really about it.
I'm sorry, you mentioned Portal. I remembered I was playing it a while ago, and there's this room with a big square at the top of this wall that you're supposed to shoot a portal through, and then you shoot your portal onto the ground, and you just teleport to the other room and solve the puzzle. Well, I didn't fucking get it. So I spent like 10 minutes shooting a portal like onto the ceiling and then went onto the ground, and I would like jump through them so they would end up launching me to this little square space in the wall, and then I had to crouch and I would get lodged in there, and I could only jump and move like an inch at a time, so I jumped like 20 times to get through this little thing and fell out through the other end. I went, yup, that's how you solve that puzzle.
Was this early in the game?
It was like the second puzzle, and I thought that was how hard it was gonna be.
Bill makes his own puzzles.
Maybe you are retarded.
Bill's playing his own game within the game.
I just played the first Portal again right after I built my new computer. I think I mentioned it on the show. Smoked through that thing in like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see Bill like, and that's Bill. One of the reasons I think you would love Fallout. Like, you'd look around and you'd be like, all right, yeah, I can do this, and it would like not be anything like not a quest or anything like that. You just see like this tree, and you're like, I can get there. And like that's your sole mission, and then you'd be like, all right, I beat Fallout.
I got the tree.
Got him.
Stupid tree.
Oh, okay. Whew. So how do you have
more
the-
lore into Bill being a giant golden retriever?
You just hit yourself in the face with the microphone.
Oh no, you missed it. I need my microphone into my face earlier, and then it fell after I fixed it again. So
Amazing.
doing great.
Boy, this is why we hang out so much. Why a key? What's with the key? Why does the Sora carry a giant key?
I think it just kind of has to do with just what they decided the gameplay was going to kind of be about. Like you unlock things, like you.
Every world has a master key hole that seals the world against
The
evil
Heartless.
and darkness and the heartless.
You gotta
And
pay
these-
the troll toll to get in.
Right. And basically these evil ne'er-do-wells like Cruella. No, she's not in it.
She's in the second one.
Maleficent.
Maleficent's like the
Maleficent's
main one.
the main one,
like,
yeah.
you know, like
Ursula.
Captain Hook, Ursula,
The one from Aladdin.
Jafar.
Jafar. Yeah, all,
That was
all-
one of my
all-
favorite worlds. Was
yeah.
the Aladdin one.
Yeah,
the
it
Aladdin one
really
was
sweet.
really good.
All of those, a great boss fight too.
Yeah.
All of the all the big bad baddies have paid the troll toll and gotten inside the boy's hole and opened
For
up
real,
these-
Zora is a little boy.
He
And
is.
they are in his hole.
You gotta
Yeah.
pay the troll toll to
So
get in.
he's got the key. Da Vinci was a key, and he locks the planets again. And you have to do that. You have to beat up all the baddies and
Yeah.
kill the boss.
Yeah.
Lots of really creative,
Yeah.
basic enemies, creative puzzles, creative boss fights. And when I remember when the games were first announced, and everyone was hearing like Final Fantasy merged with Disney.
They did such a good job
What?
with
Yeah,
it,
but it's
though.
so
What are
great.
they smoking over there? And then it was just two excellent games.
It was
Just two
perfect.
great games.
Yeah.
And if I remember right, like in addition to all the good stuff that you just mentioned, like the RPG elements and like the level up system and everything like that was like really solid.
Yeah.
It's not overcomplicated.
No.
But
But there's a lot you could do with it, and it like the
It counts for
progression
something.
curve,
It
yeah,
matters.
and the progression curve is like appropriate. It's not like it's not a terribly difficult game if you want to like 100% it. I actually kind of remember that
It's
being a
kinda
little
really
difficult.
hard
it's
to
extremely
100%
hard.
it.
Yeah.
I give you one word, and that is Sephiroth.
Sephiroth.
You can fight Sephiroth.
Yes.
He's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pattern fight, which
Yeah.
is common in fighters, but I mean,
He's part of the Hercules world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the final
Yeah.
optional boss.
So
on it.
Hercules' world is actually pretty cool, and
Hercules' world is it's the Colosseum specifically.
yeah, it's just the Colosseum, but they kind of do it and I'll bring it up later too. But it's its own world where you just do a Colosseum and you talk to Phil, right, the little goat man.
Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
You talked to
Too bad they didn't. I don't think they got him to do the
No, I don't
voice
think so.
acting,
It's
but
someone
no,
else.
That
but
would be
you
so
basically
great.
talk to Goat DeVito. and
Go
you go
Vito.
in and you do like different levels. So like one of them is you have to like hit these boxes.
Those are just the training missions. In the
Yeah, the
beginning,
training missions, and then
before
you
he agrees
go
to sign you up.
and eventually you sign up for tournaments, and you have to go through waves of Heartless, and then eventually you start getting Final Fantasy characters in there. So you do fight Cloud in one of them.
The final boss of the first tournament is Cloud.
Yeah, so you fight Cloud, and they're all just pattern fights, as you said, but like it's fun, you know, because that's the entire world is just these tournaments.
Yeah,
And you
then
get-
I think the second tournament you beat up Hercules as the final fight
Yeah,
himself.
there's Hercules. Hades is one of the bosses in
Hades
one of
is
them.
one of them, and then there's
Who
several.
voiced Hades in the Disney movie?
He's like some comedian. I forget. His
Oh,
name.
Yeah, was it
James
Jim
Woods.
Gaffigan? Oh, it's James Woods.
Hades, yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Can you imagine Jim Gaffigan? Oh my goodness. That would make
Yeah.
Oh, gotta shoot fire now.
Well, I kind of remember that being somewhat like how he sounds, where he's like
No, he speaks
kind of
fast.
gay.
partly
He's just-
God now.
He speaks much faster than that,
Yeah.
and more ominously. But yeah, I mean, after you have to exhaust the main
Pocket.
tournaments for that world's plot, and you actually can't beat that world till you beat several others beyond it.
Yeah, so you can't just go do them all.
yeah.
You have to, once you beat a world, then all of a sudden you get a notification saying like, oh hey, there's a new tournament.
You unlock more
available.
abilities, don't open more
Yeah.
areas. Those things you mentioned with the Trinities, you get more of
Yeah.
those as you progress. So there's lots of backtracking, as it were, but it doesn't really feel like it.
Yeah.
It's because each world is separate from each other, and once you all or mostly beat a world, when you come back to it, there are save points, as is common to Final Fantasy games,
Mm-hmm.
and most save points you can just spawn at when you revisit the world.
Yeah, you can like teleport, especially once you beat a world or once you go to a world. Then like when you're in your gummy ship and you have to do the little mini game to navigate to get to each world between them. Once you've been to one, then eventually you get to a point where you can just fast travel to them. And
Mass Effect 2 had a similar thing going on, where like each major world that you went to, like served a really good purpose in the story, and there was a bunch to do there, and like it felt like it didn't feel like you were just going to a place to like quick bounce in, like say what's up, and then
it's
get
not
the
just
hell
like a
out of
level. Like you're in like
Yeah.
a different world and there's like a whole bunch of things you can do in that world.
there. Yeah. And then, but you like as you go along in the game, you can go back to some of the earlier worlds and like do some other stuff there that like made it worthwhile to revisit. And like some of the worlds had like the arena where like other stuff you could do that you couldn't unlock until later in the game. Like I appreciate when games do that. Like it makes it feel more like an open world and less like an open world in the sense that there's a map that you can look at, but like
You just
progress
through
through it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy games in general have always been really good with that, about having a set progression through the game, but also giving you good reasons. Like great examples, Final Fantasy VII, Golden Saucer. How many times did you end up not only in the story going back there, but just to do some of the other mini games to get cool shit?
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VIII had what did that have? I'm trying to remember. The gardens, probably. And get training chocobos. They were pretty important again in Final Fantasy VIII.
The Coliseum in the first Kingdom Hearts is the Golden Saucer in that there there aren't mini games per se. I think you do. There are some small rewards for beating some of those early training missions in a very timely fashion, like getting a high score on the time, but it's very minor. Far more importantly are the optional bosses.
Yeah.
Which I think start with different trolls or giants.
Yeah,
And
one
then
of
it
them, they're
culminates
the
with Sephiroth.
Titans. One of them is a Titan. You fight Cerberus at one point.
Cerberus is one,
Yeah.
But yeah, you. I remember the craziest tournament is 100 seeds.
Yeah.
It takes like a day, a real day, to like get through it. And every 10 seeds is a boss, and you just fight like all these bosses. 10 bosses.
It was
right
actually
in a row.
hard.
It was.
Yeah.
I forget what the final one is. It might be Hades, but that might have been the Hades tournament or whatever.
The Hades.
But yeah, the pinnacle boss of the Coliseum is Sephiroth, and he's got that big dumb sword, and
He's hard as shit to
moves
fight.
very, very fast. I think I've finally beat him, but not without looking up a playthrough and having the patterns explained to me, because when he hits you, it hurts a lot.
Yep.
And in fact, I think he usually one shots you.
Yeah.
It's like crazy.
It's ridiculous.
He's in the second game. You can fight him again, and he's a little bit easier. I beat him after several tries on that, but it was still like one of the hardest fights in the game, if not the hardest.
Yeah. But speaking of the second game, then, What did you think? I liked it. I think they
I
did a
liked it.
great job.
I think
as a
it
sequel.
grew in all the right ways. Over the
Yeah,
first
it
game.
did. So I think my favorite thing that they added was those different forms.
Mhm.
Those I don't remember what they're called now, but
Yeah.
like basically you can quote transform into like having these special powers. So I think the blue one or something like that, like you could kind of like levitate, skate around really fast.
Yeah, you would kind of slide
and do a
around.
bunch of moves. There's like a red one where you can
Dual
like,
wield.
Yeah,
with
dual
keyblades.
wield was
Yeah.
really cool, and you could like pick which
I
ones
think that
you
was my
had for that
favorite,
mode
'cause
too.
You just did a ton of damage with
Mhm.
it.
Yeah,
And you unlock other keyblades throughout the both games.
Yeah.
So rather than it's a little bit lore breaking because I think they established in the first game initially that you change your keyblade by putting
The
a new
keychain.
keychain on the end of it, but now it's like, oh no, there's just keyblades everywhere, and like other people have them besides Sora. Sora's just like the main one who actually has all the power with it.
yeah,
So they kind of break that little piece of lore, but I'm over it.
yeah. But they kind of
because-
it expands it
Yeah.
enough, you know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, being able to like dual wield keyblades in that, and it was cool because it in its way amplified the RPG element because every keyblade has different stats and grants a different ability on top of it. So you'd be like, this is my main boy right now, but this other one will grant me this extra thing when I'm in dual wield mode.
Yeah,
Oh, and I think you could even set it so that when you would change to other modes that didn't give you two keyblades, which I think there were 2 or 3 more.
I think there was 3 total.
Yeah,
modes.
I think it was 3. I think you could even set it so that you would just choose a different keyblade.
I think
in
each
those
mode you
modes.
could choose
Yeah.
what weapon you had. But what was cool about those modes too is not only were they badass when you were in them, but leveling up those modes unlocked other things. So when you leveled up, I think it was the blue one or something like that.
The
When
blue
you
one was
were-
like a casting one.
Yeah, it was one of them. Maybe it was the red one. It was one of them where eventually when you leveled that up enough, when you were in regular mode, then you unlocked double jump.
Hmm.
And eventually you could learn to fly. Like in Peter Pan's world, then you can unlock the ability to like fly around.
Hmm.
And when you're in that world, you can actually fly. And in every other world, you could basically like double jump and glide.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool.
Yeah, glide and then super glide in the first one.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
What's the difference?
Faster,
One's faster.
better.
Stronger.
Yeah, but it was cool. And the second one, I like the way they explained the plot too. Expanded the plot.
Can you please explain the plot?
I will explain the plot. So in the first one, basically you find out that like someone's trying to create all these heartless and you defeat them, whatever, with the help of Mickey, who is like the ninja Yoda in the background doing
very
all
much
he's
Yoda.
the king. He's like the king of the realm, King Mickey, right? And he
Of
goes
course,
missing.
It's Disney.
And you find out that he's like this badass ninja who's like fighting crime in the background, right? And then the second one, you know, you're like, oh, okay, cool, we're done with these heartless. Not only did they come up with these unknowns, right? No, what the hell are they called?
I forget.
Yeah.
Unsullied.
Basically. No, they're like
They're not called unknowns. They're called
they're like gray and
yeah.
we can't remember what they are because no one knows what they are.
called? Anyway, not
These
only
things.
do you have these different creatures that you fight that aren't just the heartless, but eventually the heartless come back
Yeah.
at some point, I think. But you find out that they were created from destroying the heartless.
Hmm.
So you basically find out and you're like guilt tripped. Sora's like, oh shit, like I did this. Like I was fighting crime and yet creating bigger
created
crime.
more crime.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, so we've spent all this time talking about the first 2 games. Are there any developments with number 3? The
So-
long awaited.
Yeah, so number 3 has been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back for release date. It says 2018 now. And I'm very excited because I want to see a month in front of 2018 so that I know for sure. And then eventually there will be a day.
But do you know what do you know for sure?
No.
Yeah.
They've been working on Elsa's castle because it's gonna be all frozen stuff.
Yeah. The couple things I do
Maybe
know
a
about it
big
is they're
level.
also adding Toy Story
Oh.
as a world to the third one, which I think is going to be very fun. I don't know what other... That's Bill's
Got a
contribution.
friend. All right. What about Marvel characters? You think they're
Oh my
going
goodness.
to be in there?
No.
Well, Star Wars is owned by Disney now too.
Yeah. No. I don't know what all the worlds are
I
going to
hope
be
not.
for the new one, but I hope they're going to keep it classic Disney. Like, I remember in the second one, too, they had like a book you could go into and you collect different pages of the book, and it's Winnie the Pooh.
That was in the first one too.
Yeah. It was so fun. And like the second one, you meet a whole
Was
bunch of...
Mulan in
Mulan's
those?
in the second one.
Yeah. I knew it was in
That
one
one
of
was pretty. That one was an okay world, but the one world that I had the biggest issue with was the second one with the fucking Little Mermaid. And you go there and you don't fight anything. You basically play through songs.
Mm-hmm.
And the songs, while you're playing them, and like you have to like hit the different buttons at the right time to like have your character, with you having no control over it whatsoever, fighting monsters.
In the first game, the Little Mermaid world was annoying.
Well, it was a real world, at least. Like you swam around.
There was a
you
real
were-
world with a boss fight, but you had to like learn
Yeah.
how to do the swimming thing, and
It was cool that you were part dolphin.
I wasn't a fan.
I like the dolphin.
Whatever.
At least you weren't a mermaid.
I was
You
confused.
were a merman.
Goofy turns into a turtle,
Goofy does turn into a turtle.
and Donald turns into
Is it a fish?
octopus.
Yep.
He's part octopus.
Oh my god.
Typical
Yes.
Donald.
Yes.
Part octopus.
My
All
issue with
arms.
this, and I've only played the first one, is that at some point there is a space whale
Monstro.
that eats you.
You're going in your
Monstro.
gummy ship.
As
Is
you're
that
flying
Lemony
around.
Snicket's world or is that Pinocchio's world?
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio.
Yeah.
We already
Lemony
discussed this.
Snicket.
We discussed this like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
But
go
it's just-
Pinocchio.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It wasn't helping that we were drinking when I was playing this game, but that came up and it was just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Well, that's
Where is
kind
this
of.
whale coming from?
Oh, there is. You don't know he's coming. All of a sudden, you're like going through the gummy ship,
just
and then he just
appears.
appears and he eats you, and then you meet Pinocchio. Well, you have to go find Pinocchio
You meet
because
Geppetto.
well, you meet Geppetto, and
I
then
was thinking of
eventually you find
Geppetto,
out
the
that they're trying to
cricket, not
steal
Lemony
Pinocchio
Frank, you're drunk. Go home.
because they're trying to steal his heart from him.
I will take another beer.
We're out.
Yeah.
I'm not.
There's none left. Anyway, so we talked about Monstro twice. What else do we want to touch on?
Yeah.
So the only development with 3 is that it says 2018.
Yeah,
And
but
it's
I'm really
in the
excited.
back.
Like, there's like demo plays out and stuff that look really cool.
Really?
There was E3 stuff 2
Yeah,
years after KH2.
but they look fun. They
Yeah,
look
sure
good.
do.
I'm excited.
They
I'm
sure
hoping
do.
it's coming out this
I am
year.
far too jaded to be
I've
as
been
optimistic as you are.
Waiting
it's
way
not like-
too long.
Hopefully it's not like Duke Nukem Forever. That took 10 years. and
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
What?
Yeah.
It was no good?
It was awful.
It was a legendary failure.
Oh.
But I mean,
Yeah, I'm hoping they don't mess the third one up because I haven't played the one that came out for the DS. I don't remember
There
what it
were
was called.
there were a whole bunch of handheld games. For
Yeah,
Kingdom
I
Hearts.
never had a DS, so I never picked that up. But I'm really hoping that 3 is really good.
playing with the Kingdom
I think it's
Hearts.
supposed to.
Goofy ain't really smart.
Wow.
I think it's supposed to be the last
Hot
one. I think it's a
on
trilogy.
Kettle Black.
And this was supposedly the last one in at least this series of the story. Like, as to whether or not they might come out with spin-offs for the world, but
trilogy, schmilogy. Frank.
you know.
Thank you.
Oh, Frank's getting a beer.
So sweet.
Didn't bring me fucking beers.
It's guy love. That's all it is.
All right.
Jake and I have a lot of
Anybody
guy
else
love.
have any
Nothing gay about it.
closing thoughts on Kingdom Hearts 3?
I'm hoping it comes out this year.
Yeah.
If you haven't picked up the games yet, Kingdom Hearts 1, excellent game. Kingdom Hearts 2, wonderful sequel. Highly recommended.
If we get a firm date on that, we'll do a playthrough. I
Yeah.
think.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
We should do a playthrough of the first one, regardless.
We should.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because we'll get the PS4 remastered, and we'll be able to capture that.
Mhm.
So yeah, we'll do a playthrough of Kingdom Hearts.
Shall we take a second break?
We shall.
Okay. Second break. Here we go. Welcome back. We're gonna get right into it. I don't know if you guys noticed through all the news, Dontron 5000 is
A dipshit.
Well,
he's organizing a summit to talk with video game heads or whatever the fuck that means about the influence of violent video games on violence and what can be done about it. And I know we've talked about this before, but I thought society at large had normalized video games enough that people really don't think that video games cause violence anymore. I didn't think that was a thing. And maybe this is a brainchild of his, but it got through enough people that they're like, hey, this will look good to some voters somewhere. Who the fuck still thinks this is a thing?
People still think it's the heavy metal and the rap music and the violent TV shows.
Where do these people live? Because I literally never meet them.
They live on your block.
Yeah, they really do.
Right next to your local bigot and or racist. In the stupid section of town.
yeah, Bill lives in the stupid section of town. Yes.
I have never met a person who holds these views.
You know what the funny thing is that 90% of the people, I mean, this is just in general that support Fearless Leader, are low income, right? They are basically poor people who, get no benefit from anything that he does whatsoever and actively do everything he says he hates. It's like some sort of not self-aggrandizing. That's what he is. It's like some form of self-loathing. Where we want somebody who's going to raise our taxes and do things that actively hurt us, like cut welfare. People on welfare for whatever reason in very deep South, especially the deep South states, love Donald Trump, even though he wants to cut their welfare.
I mean,
my dad is a great example of this.
We could easily spin this into politics as a whole, but let's keep it a little more focused.
Yeah.
But my point is that the lot of these people who want to see action against violent video games being taken let their own kids play violent video games, but they're not the problem.
Well, here's the thing. What we need, per the Fearless Leader's advice on Twitter, is some kind of rating system to determine whether games are suitable for different age groups. It'd be really nice if we had such a thing.
I think movies used to do that.
It just reminds me, there was a tweet that came out.
Letters.
A lady took her kids to go see Deadpool and was really shocked by the violence and humor. And they're like, there's a fucking movie rating system.
It's rated R.
I don't think people even look at them anymore.
No.
The ratings?
They just see,
no one
comic book
cares.
movie.
It's like, I want to go see this R-rated horror, R-rated action movie, but I have a 3-year-old. He's gonna come along with me.
Here's another thing that is a huge problem. I think with the rating system, you could have a non-violent, a romantic comedy. They say fuck twice. It is now rated R.
Who fucking cares?
You could have Commando come out, people getting blown up left and right. PG-13.
Depends on the level of gore, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around how this view still holds when video games are now so mainstream. I mean, they're so big now that we're trying to get big as a video game podcast, for crying out loud.
I'm surprised you're hung up on
get hard.
I'm surprised you're hung up on that aspect of it when there is scientific backing that debunks the idea outright, because this isn't the first time this battle's been fought. In the early 2000s and or late 90s, I forget the name of the representative or federal senator now, but it was shortly after Columbine that there was this whole big identical stink about supposedly violent media.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm
causing
saying.
issues. Okay. Well, I mean, I think you're coming at it from the mainstream side, but what I'm mentioning is the scientific debunking of it. Never mind whether it's popular or not. I was actually trying to do some research on this, and I want to segue briefly to the fact that there are lots of scientific studies that are still locked behind paywalls, and that is a serious disservice on the part of the scientific community to the greater public to require people to pay for studies that carry this level of gravitas. I'm not saying that researchers shouldn't get their funding, but it would I would have been, if I wanted to properly do my research on this subject, as I have done for other controversial topics, I would have had to shell out hundreds of dollars to get the kind of picture.
If you use an ounce of public funding, I think you should make it available to the public.
I agree, but that's beside the point. What studies I could find, and of course I didn't save any of the researchers or nothing, but the prevailing scientific opinion is that, if anything, violence in media helps channel the violence in the consumer away from doing stuff in real life, because the overwhelming majority of kids, young kids even, can distinguish real life from fantasy and fiction. It's like a pretty early thing that we develop.
By like age 4 or something like that, you can.
We figure it out pretty quick, and not everyone does.
Yeah,
but it's we know.
So we know that when winning over the opinions of our countrymen, facts will only get you so far with so many people. More of the thing that I'm getting at is that I just can't believe that there's a large enough group that this is politically appealing to get up there and blame video games again 20 years after we did it the first time. The closest thing that I saw recently was a discussion with one of my workmates who said he doesn't think that kids should have toy guns, which, I can actually see.
Yeah, all right. Not the most unreasonable thing I've ever heard.
Right.
I don't buy it, but
yeah,
I
exactly. Like, okay, I see where you're coming from.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't make the argument that toy guns cause people to shoot people, but I don't, well, you know how I am around firearms. I'm really serious. So I see them more as tools. I don't really think that they should be included in as toys, but that's a whole different thing. That's the most extreme view that I've seen. It's hard for me to believe that there's enough of these people anywhere. And my point with it being mainstream was that these people who aren't interested in the facts, I figured their feelings would have become less extreme in how normalized the interaction with these games has become over 20 years. But I guess not. I don't know. I don't know how people, like, I understand even going against supporting something that practically works against you. Like, I play violent video games, but if you were to ask me, then I say violent video games are bad, right? So people will subvert their own practical interest based on principled generalities. We see that a lot. And even talking about, like, support a person who wants to take away your social support network, but rephrase the question, do you support free handouts? They go, no. And then it's like, well, do you realize that you're
relying on them?
Right. And they're like, but
they don't say that. They're like, well, I'm different.
Well, yeah, that's what everybody says.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can't. That's the thing I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around. I figured the facts came out and got the people the facts would get, and then video games became so normal that it would change a lot of these feelings. So you'd have the facts and the feelings people, but apparently,
well, emotions completely override so much of human interaction, from interpersonal all the way up to government. It's been that way forever, and it's even more disheartening than I think we've already made it sound to me, because that's super annoying. I too am human. I too have emotions, and logic isn't always the way to approach things, because we're people. But as matters of policy, emotions kind of have to come second to what will actually work or not, or what the actual problem is. And every gamer I have ever met plays violent games in some shape or form.
Most of them are pretty violent.
Whether it's, cutting demons in half, to shooting Nazis, to the isometric, civilization, like city, and world building, where you're just commanding units and you're not on the ground seeing it directly. Still launching nukes at each other. Still having naval bombardments and pikemen attack other pikemen. Like, conflict in all of its many forms is one of the main drivers of all entertainment. No one wants to listen to a story where there's no type of conflict. And the most dramatic conflict is violent conflict. And of course we're enamored by it. We're human. It's emotional. But that doesn't mean that it's going to make us do anything, and there is proof that it doesn't. Or, the way some of these cats make it sound, there are 5 of us in this room. How many of us have killed anyone, threatened to kill someone, assaulted anybody? Well,
Well, he's a robot, so
that was
doesn't
before
matter.
that was before your pacification program was
That's
up to
true.
date, Frank. But
They were all accidents.
yeah, he's just a rogue synth. But and
And only retaliatory.
And we live in a college town. I guarantee you, a majority of the people on this campus, at any given time, plays or played games.
Yeah.
Right. I guarantee you that every single one of them put their hands on something extremely violent, and the vast majority of them have played rated M stuff. By the way, Mr. Trump, there is a rating system. I don't know if you're aware. I'm sure you've been made aware at this point. That tweet's several days old.
Maybe everyone's too afraid to tell him.
But dipshit,
Boy.
Mr. Trump, you're fired. I don't know. I'm waffling. The point is like if there really was some type of causation, which there is no correlation in the first place, but if there was some type of causation, there would be more of a correlation. And so, I didn't verify it, but somewhere I saw a number floating around. Something like 4 out of 5 mass shooters didn't play games. I bet if they did, they might have found other ways to deal with their real world problems.
Sorry.
Like shooting Lisa's phone for going off as I was speaking. Mine's done it too. It's fine. I forgive you this once. Everyone gets one.
You can get, and everybody I talk to seems to get upset at the president or groups of people or whatever. And I feel like it feels like we've done that about 1 million times.
Sure.
What I'm trying to ask myself is, what on earth is the practical application of this meeting? Is it only to virtue signal and make some people feel like he's standing up for their down home values?
Because he's doing the same thing with gun control and nothing's going to happen.
Okay, because I don't know what possibly could happen. Millions and millions and millions of dollars are spent on quote-unquote violent video games. Are they really going to try to quash that industry? No way. No way.
80% of politics is just grandstanding. If you look at, like, all right, so there's a great example in finance, right? After, I think it was around 2013, it was after Dodd-Frank was passed, right? There was a rule governing derivatives and how they're treated on banks' books, right? And Elizabeth Warren, who many people love as a progressive senator from Massachusetts, who has very progressive views and always rails against Wall Street and is supposedly for, the main consumer. She had this big push where she railed against the banks for like lobbying a bunch of things to like have this thing. And like basically the whole thing boiled down to like completely irrelevant bullshit that was only mattered to accountants and did not serve any practical purpose whatsoever. But she made it into this big thing like it actually mattered and like would have an impact on people's lives, right? And it meant nothing. The only reason she made such a stink of it was so that she could make headlines in various newspapers saying that she was against the banks, and that would gather her support in her home, for the people that voted for her. And that was it. That was all. This is the only reason she did it. And there are countless examples of this. In fact, something very obvious that happened just recently, right? Pat Toomey, one of the senators in the state in which most of us here live, right, was at a summit on gun control with the dear president and
Dontron.
Yeah, Dontron, and Donald Trump posed the question of, so you can't buy a handgun until you're 21, but you can buy an assault rifle when you're 18. In your gun control legislation that you have been discussing for the past couple of days, did you include the idea of raising the age to buy an assault rifle to 21, and Pat Toomey said, no, Mr. President, that's not in our legislation. We didn't discuss that. And Mr. Trump said, do you know why you didn't do that? Because you're afraid of the NRA. And he started laughing, and it's like, it's 100% true. That's exactly why he didn't do that. He might actually believe that you shouldn't buy an assault rifle until 21, but his beliefs are irrelevant. He wants the votes, so he will not do that. And that's like 95% of the problem with our politics right now, is that we elect people who are spineless, who will only vote what people tell them will get them the most votes in the next election. And it is irrelevant as to what they believe now, what they believed in the past, or what they have voted in the past.
Largely. It's all bullshit and it's bad for you.
And I guess, okay, so there's a so there is a philosophy out there, you know, you should vote for people who agree with what you agree with, right? There's another philosophy out there that says you should vote for people who will make good decisions, right? Actions versus people, basically. You know, do you believe in good people, or do you believe in good actions? Do the actions make the person, or do the person make good actions? Anyway, so there's a little debate there. But
what's the issue with voting? Is you would think that the desires of your constituents would be reflected in the next election.
So the main issue with that, right, is, one, does it actually represent something that is material to what affects your constituents, right? So especially when you're talking about states, right, and senators and congressional districts, right? If you're talking about, you know, like, say, in this specific example, assault rifles, it's irrelevant to the senators and congressmen from California and Massachusetts, because those weapons are already illegal. They can vote however they want, and there is no ramifications for their citizens whatsoever, because their state law is different from what the federal law is discussing anyway, superseding it even, such that it makes the legislation that they're considering irrelevant. So there's one issue. The other issue is that, and this is like a philosophy from how a voter feels, right, is that you're not electing someone to vote the same way that you feel you should vote. You're electing someone with the character, smarts, and judgment skills to vote the way that they think is best for the people in your district. And this is actually how the Founding Fathers imagined the entire country to be run, which is based upon like educated people, landowners basically, because originally only landowners could vote, who were basically so well off that the decisions that they made were irrelevant to their daily operations and their wealth and their fortunes, that they would do what's best for the people that lived for them, whether or not the people realized what was good for them was what their elected representatives were voting for them. So it is essentially like one of the main problems in politics. I'm not going to say politics. One of the main problems in society today in the United States is that people don't like to hear what's good for them, that you need to save money, that you need to be a responsible citizen, that you need to do things that are hard, that the old way of doing things where you could graduate from high school, get a job at the factory, retire at 65 and be just fine doesn't exist anymore. You need to get skills. You need to get an education, right? They don't want to hear that. They want the person that's going to tell them, you're fine the way you are, keep living the way you want to live, and you'll be just fine, right?
Yeah, I mean, I that's something I haven't quite resolved in my own thought process. I really don't like the idea of having a representative treat me as like an unknowing child.
Yeah. No, I completely I understand that argument. I'm not saying that one is right or one is wrong. I'm just saying that, you know, when the country was founded and the system in which the system was designed in a particular way, and it is not one of the problems we have right now is that it does not function. We are not using it the way in which it was intended. So our options are either change the system, right, and be more like a European parliamentary system where you have to have coalition governments that are more dispersed in their viewpoints, right, or change the way we use it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it applies directly to video games.
And both such
In this
changes
case.
required mass support.
Yes, which
to
is
a
very hard to
degree that
gather.
is I am skeptical of being realistic in a population
I agree.
Of this size and with such a breadth of intellectual involvement.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, one of my least favorite things is the different sort of elitist attitudes that I can view from. Well, we only have two parties, so from both sides. And one of the favorite things to lambast.
yeah, that's right. That's a good word.
Americans about is their lack of involvement in the political system, and it's like when people make fun. To me, it's like when people make fun of Americans for being fat. Like, the cheapest food is unhealthy. We've been pushed high carb diets. You get what, 6 servings of pasta or something according to the fucking food pyramid, where we've been pushed on a system and then became fat, and it's not surprising to me. It takes a lot of effort to live in a healthy way. So they're like, oh, well, Americans aren't participating in the voting system. Well, we don't even get off to vote. You know what I mean? So if you're dependent on being at work, you can't vote. You go to work. I mean, I guess some states you can mail in your things beforehand, right?
It is, and it's baffling to me that they won't move an election day to a Saturday, right? It's absolutely there's only one reason, and that's that one party in particular. And I mean, I'll be honest, I don't even know what it is. Most people would probably say the Republican Party is afraid of who would vote if the people who had to go to work. But I don't even know that that's true. The point is that one party would probably have a conniption fit to the point where they would literally shut down the country for as long as months if it had to. If they had to shut down the government for months, they would be that terrified that everyone got to vote that they would not let it happen, because it would mean that a large portion, they would lose forever. I don't know which party it is. I really don't. But either way, if we changed election day to Saturday, the demographics of who voted would change significantly enough to put one particular party at a significant disadvantage, and they would never allow that to happen, even if they had to shut down the government for months at a time.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Voting week.
Voting week.
You can vote whenever. Any of these.
You cut off campaigning on after a Sunday, whatever, the first Sunday of November, and then you have all day, 6 a.m. Monday until midnight the following Saturday, and the people who have been campaigning are locked in a fucking room. They can't say another word. They can't do a fucking thing. And there's a whole week.
I think that's the same as changing the voting situation to let everybody vote. Like the point is that the parties have their strategies in place to deal with who votes when given the current voting time frame. So they don't want it to change.
God forbid everyone was allowed to vote.
Right.
That would be democratic. That's not okay.
Yeah.
No.
And I mean, a lot of it has to, I think a lot of it just has to deal with the sheer fact that the people in power, and maybe it'll change now, right? Because the people in power spend so much money trying to understand the system that we have in place to maximize the potential. And that's one of the problems with the last election, why no one saw it coming, is because these people spent a ton of money on pollsters and statisticians and marketing people, right? Trying to understand who's going to vote given the constraints that exist, and how they're going to vote, and what influences the way they vote. And they're kind of in the sunk cost idea of well, fuck it. We've spent billions of dollars the past couple of elections learning how the current system works. We don't want to just blow it up, because then we won't understand it. But at the same point, no one understands it right now, because no one predicted our current president making it in the White House, primarily because the statistics showed a ton of people who voted weren't supposed to vote according to the traditional statistics. So
Yeah, I guess to answer my question, which is how is this even a thing being talked about? I guess according to our current system, it's going to get results, right?
yeah,
So in order for this conversation to be done, the system needs to change.
yep,
Because you simply could not regulate video games enough for this conversation to never be had again.
yeah, it's not gonna happen.
If you get down to it, this idea that video games aren't simply considered artistic expression is absolutely totally bananas to me. But whatever. All right. So that answers my question on how we can even be having this summit again. I don't like. Yeah,
It is
like you said,
baffling.
Frank. The statistics didn't work out last time for the people who paid for them. So maybe something different will happen. Who knows?
Because there's a dipshit in the Oval Office.
I'll tell you this much. I enjoyed most of that conversation because we didn't fall back on our same old being angry and frustrated and shitting on different groups. It was nice and
I'm
constructive.
just shitting on one guy.
And we could what?
Yes,
I'm just shitting on one dude.
Yeah, I know.
I'll shit on Pat Toomey too. That guy's
Look
a
at-
Sure.
sleazeball.
Hitlermancer.
Uh,
He looks like a Hitlermancer.
He does
We've
look
got
like a
Steam
Hitler
pulled up,
mancer.
and we're looking at.
I mean, it's like a
zombie
cape.
game.
because we're about to get into our next segment.
Steam sales.
Special
What?
offers on Steam.
DC Comics franchise. What does that mean? Like,
It's the
Is it just-
Steam sale.
click it.
Look it good.
Wow, Injustice 30% off. What the
Batman.
fuck? Oh, it's the Ultimate Edition. 30% off down to $55.99.
Dude, Arkham Knight Premium Edition for $10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Might be my choice here.
Yeah.
It's all the Batmans.
Arkham City Game of the Year for $5.
That
That
happens
includes
a
all the
lot.
DLC.
That happens.
That's a
lot.
great deal. $5. I think that one is so
Almost
far is
any
my
game
shit.
for,
the
like, $5
Lego
and under.
Batman trilogy. Jake, we got to see what that is.
Lego Batman.
$17. It is a
It's not-
trilogy.
Voiced by what's his name?
Lego Batman for $5. Lego Batman.
I just
2
found our
for
next
$5.
playthrough series. Are you
Lego
fucking
Batman.
kidding me? Lego Batman 1, 2, and 3?
Jesus. Tell it to get in line.
This is tough. This is a very
Okay.
Batman heavy Steam sale.
Well, this is one segment.
This is
Oh.
one
This
swath.
is just the,
I'm
the
sorry.
DC
Yeah.
thing.
And Arkham Origins for $5. Ooh.
Yeah.
We're
I
starting
saw
out
something
strong.
at the top. Square
Scribblenauts
Enix.
Unmasked, $5. Why not?
What was the Square Enix 80% off sale that was at the?
That was their entire collection, I think, was 80% off.
Well, that's
Shit.
let's
I'm liking that. It was way up at the top, Jake. Yeah. Headlining.
publisher weekend. Square Enix up to 80%.
I'm liking this.
Final
Final
Fantasy 15,
Fantasy.
$50.
Full price.
Tomb
50?
Raider.
Near Automata, 50% off. Oh man, if it wasn't 30, if it was like
Just Cause 3
Wait,
for
what is Lost
$7.49.
Sphere? That looks so cute.
Pick. Oh man, Just Cause 3. I'm sold. That game's incredible.
What is
yeah.
Lost
Life is
Sphere?
Strange is pretty good.
Star Ocean.
less
How
than
much
10?
is Star Ocean? $15 still? All right, that's a game that I think I talked about a good bit on the podcast. An incredible old school RPG from the 90s. Highly recommend it. What was it? $15?
Yes, on sale.
Don't
right
know.
now.
I mean, that's probably about as good as you're going to get it. But I do highly recommend that game in general outside of sales.
The best of Final Fantasy.
Everything's 50% off. Every Final Fantasy game they have on here is at least 50% off.
So 3, 4,
What's Final Fantasy 6?
Five,
$8?
Five,
six.
six.
There's a good choice. Final Fantasy
Seven,
9
all.
for, is that $10.49?
$5.99.
Yeah,
for-
10
It has like all of them on here.
Final Fantasy 8 for $5.99. Ooh, these are all good deals. This is going to be a tough.
Yeah, what are you doing calling
break.
this the best of when it's literally every game?
Yeah, right.
Because they're all the best.
They're
There's
just
nothing
that
wrong with it being.
confident.
There's nothing wrong
can
with
you,
it being
Can you
every
scroll
game.
back up for a little bit? There was something with some sick box art. A little more up. There we go. What the hell is Stormblood? Holy
Final Fantasy
shit,
It
that
looks
box art
like-
looks cool.
No, that's Final Fantasy 14. It's an MMORPG.
Oh, okay. All right. We could skip that for $20.
Yeah. No. I mean, It was so bad, they literally did a hard reset of the game where like you logged in one day and they're like, oh, meteor blew up the whole world and everything's different now.
Oh no.
I like how you're
Yes.
not even joking.
Yeah, I know. That
100%
actually happened.
I think you talked about that before.
Life is Strange was on there. That's pretty good if you like the like Wolf Among
Wait,
Us.
Deus Ex Human Revolution
It's
for
like a story.
$2.99
85%
and
off.
Just Cause 2 for $2.99.
Dude.
This is a great week for Steam sale. Please, if there are people listening within the next 3 days,
Tomb Raider for
buy some.
yeah,
$4.49.
that's what I was looking at too.
Yeah, and this is
Holy shit.
just
This
the
is great.
Square Enix stuff
Thief
that's on.
85% off. Oh my god! I played Deus Ex Human Revolution. That is worth $5 100%.
Yeah.
All the Tomb Raiders
For less than
boots,
$1.
Tomb Raider.
97 cents across the
What?
board for every individual
Wow.
Tomb Raider.
Oh my god!
Holy shit.
You
I
can't
know-
go wrong with these people. Like
Jeez
we're talking
Louise.
about
All right, the lesson here is as follows. We record on Sunday night at the end of these weekend deals. So you're fucked.
Yeah, sucks.
But
But listen to us marvel about them.
specifically
They go till 10 a.m. tomorrow.
specifically keep an eye out, whether you hear from us or whoever, for developer weekends when they just dump everything the developer ever put its name on sale, because that's what we're looking at right now. This is Square Enix. I guess they're available, like I said, till 10 a.m. Monday.
Wait, is it Enix or Enix?
I don't think it matters.
They're
Japanese.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Sit down and shut up, Omicron. That
Omicron
fucking
per
game.
CI8?
Yes.
That game is bananas. Spend the $1.50 and get it.
Where are you seeing that?
Katana 97 cents.
I don't even know how we're gonna pick. How are we gonna
I-
pick anything with
yeah.
everything that's on
I think
sale?
we just have to pick the Square Enix.
Buy a
Deal.
Square
Sale.
game.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick. We haven't even looked at the rest of the deals yet.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call it right now for me. Spend $10 and get both Just Cause 2 and 3 together, and just watch your life melt away as you destroy these dictatorship-owned little countries.
I don't know if I
Do it.
disagree with that. I might say spend $5 and get Arkham Knight and Arkham City.
Yes. Yes.
Also, a great decision.
All right, we got a couple more sales just to peek through.
Browse all. Let's see.
Near, fuck, if it was less than $30, I
Dirt
guess
franchise.
Final Fantasy 15 for $11
What if
basically,
Just Cause
or Final Fantasy 9. I'm sorry.
I think there's certain. I think the XL edition has like different weapons and
Has
shit.
all the DLCs in it.
Yeah.
$11.24. That's still such a great deal.
That Tomb Raider.
If you're looking for some jerk off material, Final Fantasy X2.
That's usually what I look for in my video games.
If
Yeah.
you're into that sort of thing.
All right. I think we're gonna get a Square Enix game. Just do it. I'm gonna get all,
Like 50
all the Tomb Raiders
cents,
are
whatever it
99
was.
cents. I'm just gonna go home and buy
all the
them
old
all.
ones, yet.
I'm gonna go buy them all because we're gonna play through that series too.
Tomb Raider?
Yeah.
The Tomb Raider.
I'm not sure
It's unfortunate
if I've
that-
made it clear in the past. My goal of our playthroughs is to play through entire series, so that if a hot new game's coming out, you can go, I wonder what the old ones were like. Watch, and then right when it releases, we put up the newest game.
So it's unfortunate. I will say, Jake and I, I'm sure, being huge Final Fantasy fans, especially of the classic ones, would love to do Final Fantasy playthroughs, but the market is saturated with Final Fantasy playthroughs. I mean, there are hundreds, probably thousands on YouTube already.
Yeah. That's fine. We have
Yeah.
plenty of other shit to cover. Apparently our playthrough list is already a mile long, so we don't
Yeah.
need Final Fantasy added to it.
Yeah.
It's a few.
There's also a
thousand hours.
ton of them, so.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have a different pick? I think we all agree.
I'm liking that Lego Batman.
Lego
Trilogy.
Batman
I
trilogy.
love the
that's
Lego
a tough
games. They
one.
are so fun.
Oh boy.
Yeah, they are good.
All right. You heard it here. Either Square or Lego, whatever you want. There's probably 300 games up there right now worth picking up.
Please pay attention to the Steam sales before you listen to our podcast.
Please make this section irrelevant.
Oh, and don't sleep on Life is Strange. It's a little bit of an oddball. It's like those Telltale games, but I enjoyed them. Thanks again for joining us. We tried. I think we did a good job of getting a little political, not too political.
Yeah, not
Kept
too
it
much.
relevant.
Not too-
Restrained ourselves.
Yeah.
This is our 36th episode.
36.
36. Thanks for sticking with us. Hey, tell your friends about us. Like, subscribe, share, do whatever. Hit us on all the internets. And as always, never forget to not always, but stop never, forever.
Sometimes.
Cock 'em, lock 'em, and rock 'em, baby.
Do it.